What up, Chicago? Welcome to another episode of the Bare Minimum. I am Dustin Jones. I got Brandon Duplessis with me as always. We're gonna have fun tonight. We don't really know what we're doing yet. We'll figure it out as we go. You guys got anything you want to talk about? Please throw it out there. But we're gonna touch on this collusion issue that the story continues to grow, man, and it's baffling, honestly, some
It
of the stuff
was
that's coming
it
out.
was it was like a bombshell first. Now
Mm.
it's a bombshell in a
Yeah, it's
glycerin
just
plant. Dude.
continues to get worse. We're gonna talk some fantasy football because, like, why can't we get in on that fun? And we're gonna talk about some ESPN. I don't know, Brandon, you're gonna throw that out there, but we got some ESPN like rankings and shit, whatever. We'll
Yeah,
see how that goes. We're gonna throw it all out there in just a second. Here, we're happy everybody's here with us. We are ready for another episode of the Bare Minimum. Let's get into it. My guy Vizzo, what up? Way to start the show. Bear down. Happy you're here. If you got anything you want to talk about, please throw it in the chat. We will address it. As I said, Dustin Jones here, Brandon
what's up,
Duplessis
Bizzle?
there. Um, let's get into it, man. What we got going tonight? This collusion thing.
Well,
This
yeah,
thing
and
continues to progress, and it's going down a dirty, dirty road. I wanted to talk about this.
yeah, and I know, you know, the average football fan watches football. They love the sport of football, and when things like this come
Nice
up,
football.
Dustin, it defers a lot of people's attention. But this is a huge story that
It doesn't
nobody's
seem to be
reporting on,
being talked
Dustin.
about enough.
And
Yeah.
we did it 2 weeks ago when the first report broke that Christopher Droney, the arbiter, had found some evidence of
What up,
collusion
John?
between ownership and really the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell himself. I mean, it was very clear that teams were encouraging, ownership was encouraging fellow ownership. They were
Let's state
discouraging
let's state that this investigation was concluded and a report was presented on January 14th of
with
this
no,
year, 6 months
well,
ago.
and it was reported with evidence of collusion, but not substantial enough to stand true. So,
Bas-
and here's another
yeah,
thing. So it's been appealed, and it'll now go in front of a court or a panel of 3 judges. But now the NFL has the nerve to to basically they're asking for the NFLPA. We're just going to call it the Players Union because that's what it is. They're asking the Players Union to cough up $12 million to
and legal
basically cover
fees.
their legal fees, man.
Well,
Which
here
is
let's
like
let's add some context. So the NFLPA under DeMaurice Smith in 2022 filed this suit against the NFL based on what they thought was collusion after Deshaun Watson signed his guaranteed deal, the biggest guaranteed deal in NFL history. They filed this saying that teams were conspiring to keep from giving other players guaranteed deals, right? So years of litigation and investigation have gone on. It finally gets settled on January 14th. He says, like you said, that there's not enough evidence to say, but it looks like also that Goodell and the head counsel for the NFL did do what they could to suppress and discourage teams from giving guaranteed contracts. So it's kind of like a mealy mouth, like it's kind of true, but it's not true, but like just not sufficient evidence. The players union, the head of the players union and the NFL agreed to a confidentiality agreement that will keep this information from the players themselves, right?
yeah, they would suppress
And
that there was evidence for
some
sure.
from giving this information to anybody who, like, the information might help if they were working out a new deal. So that's why now they're filing an appeal, because this was just let out 2 weeks ago because some dude on a podcast, something Torres finds out, put this information out there, and then players are like, hey, what the fuck? What happened? What's going on? So now they're deciding to appeal it after 6 months because nobody knew about it, because for some reason the players union agreed to keep this information from the players who it represents.
And the biggest bombshell, which was reported today, and this was so hard for me to wrap my head around, man. I mean, I have seen some cases of conflict conflict of interest before, but nothing to this extreme. The gentleman who represents basically the president of the NFLPA, okay, the executive director,
got paid $3.4 million last year to be the representative, the head of the Players Association.
So his name is Lloyd Howell, and he is also employed, guys. I mean, wrap your head around this. This gentleman is also employed by one of the predetermined companies, pre-approved companies, sorry, that is able to buy stake in NFL teams.
Minority stake up to 10%. Yes.
I mean,
what up, Chris Foster?
Wrap your head around that, dude.
So let's say this, because this is important. He was with this firm before the players voted him as the head. So that I don't know why the players voted him as the head, but it was brought.
No, I thought he got the job after.
He was with the firm before he was voted into the NFL Players Association, the head of the NFL Players Association. But I'm trying to
find the name of this company.
But then, I can't remember it either. Clyde something Clyde, but they then were given after he became head of
Carlisle.
Okay, Carlisle. So, but they won a bid to get into that group you're talking about that has the opportunity to explore and purchase minority stake up to 10% in NFL teams. When that happened, then somebody in the players union went to Howell and said, maybe you should consider resigning if you're a part of this group that's now has the potential to be in partnership with the NFL, because that does present a conflict of interest. Maybe. And he declined. Yeah, he declined. He said, no, I'll do my due diligence and all that.
Well, he's also stating now that he was never approached with this conversation, that he was never asked to resign. Now there's reports that he was and reports that he wasn't.
There was concerns, but nobody with an official request for him to resign, basically, is what it comes down to. John S. says there's also something about a deal when he leaves that he'll hand off the job to the former players rep from the Browns. I have not heard that. I don't know what that would indicate, but I mean, the reality is it's a huge conflict of interest. And the players union, let's throw this out there too. The players union hired another law group to head an investigation into Howell's doings as the lead of the players union. This stems from like some other group that he's on the board of that is being investigated for money that they spent. And they're just trying to see like what he's doing. And basically what they're going to find out, I think, is that they don't want this guy to be the head of the NFL Players Union anymore. The Players Association is already looking into him for things that he has been doing. And now you throw this on top of it, this huge conflict of interest. I think it's heading down the road of, this guy will not be in charge of and in this role that he got paid $3.4 million to do just last year. What's really a spit in the face, man, is that, he ran for this role as on a platform of fresh ideas and transparency, from what players have said. But this information was just kept from players, not just players, but the players union reps of the 32 teams. They weren't let in on what happened, right? So the transparency is not there. And this guy is doing shit that like no former players rep has done in this role. They would never be on the board of other companies that could have potential conflict of interest. If you're representing the players, you got to represent the players, because the players in the NFL are going to be at odds always. And if you're representing the players, you have to stand up for them, right? So if you have a conflict of interest, then you're automatically
any union should.
Exactly. And you're automatically called into question. So this is just a major issue, and the players are already onto it. So because they're already looking into the guy. So I think this is going to come to a head where they're going to be looking to replace him. And I don't think he'll be able to hand the job off to anybody, John. I don't see that being the case. Once this whole thing comes to an end, I think that you'll see Howell out of this job, and unceremoniously at that, because you're just seeing him do things that former NFL Player Association reps have not done. The head of the NFLPA is supposed to stick up for the players. You're not supposed to have these other jobs where you're pulling in this other money that creates a conflict of interest and basically puts you in bed with the exact people you're supposed to be standing up against for the players. This is a major issue.
And Mike Florio.
It's a long conversation. Too much for my brain this late. Sorry, John. We're into it. Yeah, it's tough on my brain too. It's a lot of shit going on.
I mean, well, and it's just so there's just no attention being paid to it, man, which I find just it's amazing. But I'm gonna paraphrase Mike Florio here too. Is the NFL is basically for years, decades even now, just taken complete advantage of the players themselves being so apathetic to the union like conversations and all these dealings,
Pablo
man.
Torres,
They just don't care. They don't care. And it's like, dude, this you have to care. I mean, these players got to start getting keen to this, man, because there's the majority of them just don't want to deal with this stuff. Like, hey, we selected these people, these executives, they deal with it, but you got to fucking pay attention to what's going on, man. I mean, if what you just said is correct, if this guy was already working for Carlisle,
he was, yes,
and now you appointed a guy who's in bed with the very people who are going to try to bend you over for the rest of your career.
Again, to be clear,
who's putting anything on the line when it comes to this, guys? The players sacrifice everything. The owners sacrifice nothing. They're going to make money no matter what.
To say the owners sacrifice nothing, that's a bit of an overstatement in my mind.
Like I said, I'm paraphrasing Mike Florio.
They put their money out there. But again, to be clear, he was on the board for Carlisle when he was elected to this role by the NFLPA. But then that Carlisle group got approved to be a part of a group that can
3 months after his hiring.
So at that point, that's when the Players Association should really stand up and say, hey, this is a major conflict of interest, and you can no longer be in this role. We cannot have you represent us. I question their judgment in electing the guy in the first place, but he's clearly got an extensive background, and they were hoping to, get somebody in there that can go to bat for him and get the money and the perks and the things that they need from the NFL owners. But I mean, it don't seem like this guy is here to represent the players. When you have a collusion investigation and the findings show what those findings were, right? And John, as Pablo Torres, that was the name of the guy who put it out on Pablo Torres Finds Out. Yes. So thank you for that. And Florio, they do have this scoop, but it's not being talked about enough. And I don't think fans care about it enough because it's millionaires and billionaires fighting over money, But when you have that evidence come out that the commissioner of the NFL and the head legal counsel for the NFL were, really discouraging teams from giving more guaranteed money, that is a clear indicator of a potential collusion. And when you're the head of the NFLPA, you want your players to know this. This is the most insulting thing, right? You want your players to know this because you represent them, and the transparency is important. And when a player is negotiating a deal, having this information is important. Knowing that this was being discouraged, in the last 6 months, even the players negotiating deals could have used this information, and you didn't give it to them. And not only that, you signed an NDA that says I'm not giving this information to anybody. That doesn't make sense. It seems like the NFL and the NFLPA are now working together to keep things from the players when the NFLPA is supposed to represent and stand up for the players. That's the major issue here. And any head of that union that would agree to something like that is not doing things in the best interest of the players. And the players should be very concerned about that. Very concerned.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing, man. And like I said, and John seems to be pretty keen too. And there are some people like us, Dustin, who are going to go out and seek this, these articles out and read these things. Most people probably just scroll past them. But when you dive into this, man, and
it's seedy. It's a seedy underbelly.
You have the CBA coming up in 2030. I mean, and then we talked about 2 weeks ago, Dustin. What impact is this going to have? Is this going to have on players possibly getting fully guaranteed contracts moving forward? And me and you kind of agreed. Well, if they're all colluding, nobody's ever going to get a fully guaranteed contract because if you say, "Hey, I'm leaving the Bears because they're not giving me my fully guaranteed," you're not going to get it from anybody else. But if this appeal, I mean, if they can convince 2 judges that there's real evidence here that there's collusion, man.
Arbitrators. But yeah, no, they're not going to though, Brandon. What this article just plainly shows, and John S. just pointed out earlier, this has been happening for years. They just got caught and it's being put on blast.
And the players are starting to care.
No, I think the players have cared, but you're going against too big of a machine. This arbitration will not fall in the players' way. I would be fucking shocked.
You don't think the majority of players in the NFL are completely apathetic to this shit? Like they don't want to deal with it. They don't want.
No, I think you hire a union rep and the head of the NFLPA in order to represent your best interest. That's what you do in any union, and you got to trust them. But even with clearly, they can't trust this guy. Clearly,
even with the union, though, you got to be doing your.
No, it's just like a democracy. When you elect a president, to operate in your best interest. You're going to go with the one that has the policies that you think are going to be in your best interest, and then you got to let them do their job. And you don't have a lot of control. But I don't know how the NFLPA can stand up to the NFL. Is my point. It's clear. This just shows that it's rigged, Brandon. This is just puts it out there for everyone to see that it's rigged. No, yeah, I understand, but like it won't matter at the end of the day. This arbitration will not fall in the players' favor. I guarantee that. And these things will continue to happen, and the NFL will operate as business as usual. I think the biggest thing that you see is that not a lot of major outlets pick this up and talk about it because the NFL doesn't want them to, and they control all this shit, man. That's what stands out the most to me is like the players always, every CBA, if they threaten to strike, they get a little bit of crumbs and save some face, and then they get back to playing football, and the owners come out, you know, with hand over fist, grabbing money. That's just the reality of it, and that will continue to be what happens. I don't see that changing. The players will never run this league. This league will be operated by the NFL and controlled by the NFL and its owners, and they are going to get the best deal. I'll be shocked if that changes, man.
Well, I guess the question then becomes to us, and if it's a monster that cannot be defeated, is why are players paying union dues? Get rid of the fucking union. I mean, if the union's working against you and they're in bed with the people who you're fighting every day, stop paying your union dues because it's not doing you any favors.
Former union reps have done a much better job of going to bat for the players. That's this one in particular needs to go. That's for sure. But it's a dog and pony show, man. Honestly, at the end of this is all out in public, and the NFL will still get away with it. That's what I believe. It's still.
I mean, they're next to big pharma and big tech at this juncture, man. I mean, it's about as shady as it gets, man. You think they didn't know that Lloyd Howell was probably somebody they had in their pocket when he was given the position?
Well, imagine if you're the NFL and you got this guy that's in charge of the NFL Players Union, and he's firmly in bed with you. Yeah, that's pretty beneficial to the NFL, man. And that's just really what it looks like. So if the players do anything, they get this fucking guy out of the job. That's how this ends. I see that happening for sure, sooner rather than later. Howell will not be in this position for much longer, but the NFL will continue to operate the way it operates, and they will continue to hold that over the players. And the players just don't have a lot to fight with. But the reality is, Brandon, like you said, that they're the ones that put the product on the field. The NFL don't mean shit without these players. So they do have more power, I think, than they've exercised in the past. They do need to get the right rep in there and push in for as much as they can. And another takeaway, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, man. It seems like fans tend to side with the owners in these conversations. This is the biggest part for us.
The players are greedy. Yeah. It's always the players are greedy. So the view of the average sports fan is the players get paid too much and they're greedy
to play a game
without ever analyzing how much the owners make on the players.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what pisses me off too, man. It's the
thing that pisses me off the most.
The perspective that the players who put the most on the line are the greedy ones in this relationship, man, is it's not fair. There's no logic behind it at all, man.
No, it's not, but it's the way, like what Mike Ross says right here, NFL equals sports mafia, and they control the media. You said it's like pharma, right? Like big pharma controls the media because they give
Oh,
all the
Florio
ad
said
dollars.
it. Florio
They give
said
all
that
the
they're
ad
in the
dollars, right?
media is in their pocket as well.
Yeah, because they don't get paid without the NFL. They report on the NFL. They need it. So the NFL can spin this however they want, and a fan that's not going to pay attention and just go with what they're told, just like any person who's going to be voting in the next election that just goes off of whatever CNN says or whatever Fox News says, they're just going to, repeat what they've been told. So I mean, the NFL has a major advantage in that way. They can propagandize this whole thing and spin it against the players. And these average NFL fans that we're talking about that take the owner's side, they're just repeating what they've heard
And
and they're getting one side of a story.
the only leverage you have as a player is to not play. That's it.
Jed, did you really give the first like? We've had people, we got no likes besides Jed's. Guys, come on, get the likes up. Appreciate you being here. If you like
Thanks,
what we're
Jed.
talking about, yeah, get them likes up. Jed, thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Glad you're here on another Thursday late night. Give us what you want to talk about, please. Throw some stuff out there. We'll touch on it. Mike Ross says if the owners could get away with paying the players nothing, they would. Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
absolutely.
And again, the biggest point that needs to be made is that none of us give a shit about football or sitting here talking about it right now if it's not for the players. So the players do deserve a fair share, and at the end of the day, they deserve better representation than what they have right now. And that's the first thing that needs to be addressed because this shit is slimy, dude. It's slimy. There's just no other way around it.
It's like the bank robber running the Federal Reserve, man.
No NFLPA, no head. It's like the fox guarding the hen house. Yeah. No NFLPA head of NFLPA has had any outside interest besides just representing the NFLPA in the past. This is the first guy. So, and there's clearly been a reason why, because their main interest and only interest was to represent the players. This guy obviously has other interests that go beyond that, and just that on its own, whether or not it's in bed with the NFL or not, if this group ends up, the Carlisle group ends up getting minority stake in a team or something like that, this guy just needs to go. He should step down, and the pressure should really be on him from the players' union to do so.
Yeah, because
thanks, John.
Man, if he's representing the Carlisle group and they do get stake in a team,
thanks, Jed.
You think he's gonna push for the player to make a fully guaranteed contract when his employer is the guy who's losing? It's never gonna. It doesn't make sense, man. And it's like you said, it's probably gonna be the first thing to change, but it absolutely needs to be. It needs to be.
Yeah, man. And as I was saying, like the players will be kind of the NFL ownership will and the NFL will maintain this over the players. But one thing the players could get that would give them some peace of mind, that would, kind of, tilt the playing field a little their way, are those guaranteed deals. That is the biggest piece. The fact that the NFL teams can get out of these deals with such minimal risk, and these players could be left with nothing from an injury. That is the biggest problem in terms of the contracts in the NFL, in terms of the CBA in the NFL. If they can establish guaranteed deals, that's a huge win for players. They're not going to get everything, and they're not even going to get half. Honestly, I don't expect that. I mean, they split it 51, 50, however they do it. But the players getting guaranteed deals and making that a precedent is a huge win for your average NFL player, man. It just is, because your career is 2.5 to 3 years, and your salary is not enough to carry you on if you deal with all these injuries and you end up out of the league.
It starts with they cannot drop this appeal regardless of the $12 million, man. That's where you got to stand firm on that, because if they pay the basically if they pay the 12 million dollars, or no, the NFL will drop the $12 million fee if they're willing to let go of the appeal. That's basically so the NFL is trying to strong arm the players once again.
Oh, that's constant legal. That happens legally.
Yeah,
all the
intimidate.
time.
Well, yeah, but on a much smaller, like $5,000.
Depending on what scale you're working on. Yeah, but that's
it's
normal
legal intimidation, and the players better not fold on this, man. They better say no. The appeal sticks. We're going to go in front of that. It is a panel of 3 judges, and they better say to them, that's where we're going to go. That's where this goes next, man. We have evidence from the arbiter that you 100%, dude. The commissioner has text exchanges with some of these owners, and then that's another thing. Roger Goodell's got himself, balls deep in this thing, man.
I think we're going to see all this, and I think it's going to result in nothing of major importance. To be honest, I think the NFL will skate on this
Do you think
because
there's any
that's what they
chance
do.
players? I know, because you need everybody to be in agreement on it, and no, it's never going to happen that way.
Well, that's
Players
the
could just
problem.
stop
Yeah,
playing football.
it's a lot easier to be a unified front when it's just 32 NFL owners versus the amount of players. You got guys that are on the lowest end of the pay scale
You
that
got
are,
rookies
when they're missing
want their
games.
paycheck.
When they're missing games, they're missing checks, and they ain't got the money. So it's a lot easier to get the players to cave. That's what's always shown, man. That always shows. And right now you're under a CBA, and you got to adhere to it. But the NFL does too. So the players got to make sure that they are. And if there's collusion, that is going against the CBA. So listen, I hope they win the appeal. I would not expect that. I would not expect that at all.
And then if you're the guy who goes to play when everybody else wants to strike, you're the British, what is the British term? The scab. You're the scab. I know that's like a derogatory term.
With the $12 million thing, and that's consistent legal precedent across the board in any walk of life, man. If someone brings a suit against you and forces you to defend yourself, and then you're proven right in the court or whatever, or the arbitration, because the thing between the union and the NFL is that they go to arbitration. They don't go to league. They don't go to court. It all stays with an in-house arbitration because that's what's stated in the CBA when you're in a union like that. So if they're upheld as correct and they were forced to have to defend themselves, that's a common thing to ask for, to recoup your cost in doing
but
so.
Florio did say if they keep the appeal, they'll go into a panel of three, in front of a panel of three judges, and they'll have to convince two of them. That's why there's three.
Mm-hmm.
Two will have to agree that there's enough evidence.
But it's still arbitration. It's still arbitration, though. Yeah. It's still an arbitration.
And I think the players, I think they have enough. I think the Droney guy, Christopher Droney, got enough evidence.
Well, then why did well, like Mike says here, I investigated myself and found that I did nothing wrong. Yep. Told my wife that too. Yeah, it was all good. And then John S says, "Hey, Mike, me too." Mike Ross says, "It's only illegal if you can't pay the fine." Yep. Jed says, if you guys are looking for input, it's fun talking Bears every week, but I like hearing takes on the competition, maybe NFC division predictions or something, whatever y'all feel like. Now, we've done that on a few shows, just so you know. Go back to the House Hall Hangover a couple weeks ago. We ranked them all. I mean, but we'll continue to talk about it, and we'll try to touch on some of that tonight for you, Jed, because we're glad you're here, and you were our first like. So our guy, Jedediah Harper.
Well, and Jed, I think you'll enjoy. I've got some stuff about the Bears specifically coming up here, and we've talked about the collusion thing for half an hour here, Dustin. It's if you haven't read this story,
I'd be pissed if I was a player, dude. That's all.
Go read it.
I'd be pissed
if I was Florio's podcast, because he's the only thing I've seen covering this. This is Mike Florio. Go watch it. Go read it. It's pretty remarkable.
Again, as John has pointed out, Pablo Torres was the guy that put this out there in the first place, which is how this all got brought to light. That was literally how players found out about it. How fucked up is that?
Was that the first one that I sent you a couple weeks ago?
When that whole all was let out, it was because Pablo Torres put it on his podcast. Pablo Torres finds out. So want to give credit where it's due. You know, it's not like we're breaking news. We're just interested in this topic, and we want to discuss it and bring it to the light into the light for more people who might not know what's going on, because what's going on is insane. It's completely wrong. It's not fair to the players. And if I was a player, like I said, I would be extremely pissed, man. I really would. And something needs to be done for sure. And I think the first thing that's done, Brandon, is this Howell guy is forced to resign. I think that's the road that this is leading on. I don't think the arbitration falls on the NFLPA side. I just don't, because there's so many. The problem with this, Brandon, there's so many things in the CBA to protect the NFL from shit like this. Like so many little details, and where you have to have this certain level of proof to show it. And that's why Droney couldn't say that's what they did, because in the rules of the CBA, the burden of proof is super high on shit like this. And that's intentional so that the NFL can skate shit like this. That's why it exists. So you have to, once the players agree to it, that's the precedent that you're operating off of, and that's what you have to look at in determining if that is the case or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's already stacked against the players. The NFL has the cards stacked against the players, and I don't think that can change.
And the heat is on already here, man, because the NFLPA executive committee which is the group that appointed Howell as the president, is reportedly contemplating an interim executive director during an impending selection process. So they're ready to get rid of this guy while they're looking for the next guy. Like
Yeah, they hired this other law group to look into this dude because they know a lot of shady shit is going on. So that it's not like they're behind the eight ball on
there's a
this.
petition now too, Dustin, to remove him.
Since when?
11 hours ago was reported.
I mean,
petition
again,
has emerged to remove Lloyd Howell as the NFLPA executive director. So yeah, that's in the works. This guy's gone, man.
Yeah, no, that's gonna happen, and the players need to make that happen because again, you can't control everything as a player. You have to get these people in position to operate on your behalf and to make decisions and do what's in your best interest. This guy's clearly not doing that. They need to get somebody in place. That's got to be first and foremost before you talk about any of this other stuff, Brandon. Before you talk about arbitration, before you talk about the next CBA, you got to have somebody that's firmly on your side. And this guy ain't it. This guy ain't it. DeMaurice Smith was a better representation of that for the players. I don't know why I'm blanking on the guy from the Raiders that was it for years. The guy before DeMaurice Smith, I'm blanking on his name. He was a defensive tackle for the Raiders, and he was a great players union rep for them for a long time.
And they asked one of the player executives, Hayward from the Steelers, what's going on with the situation, and he wouldn't even comment on him, and he said it's getting too spicy. I'm not going to say shit about it. That's what he
didn't say dicey. The situation is dicey, so like he didn't want to comment on it because there are things in the works. Gene Upshaw, thank you, John S. Yes, that's the name I was thinking of. Gene Upshaw. He was a great rep for the players for many years. I knew somebody would have it, man. I was just blanking on the name, but thank you. And then Mike Ross, I don't know, talks about Michael Irvin stabbing a guy in the neck with scissors. I've never heard of this, but thanks for chiming in, Mike. He says allegedly because he wouldn't let him get his hair cut first.
Oh, that's what you do, man, when you're not feeling to wait in line.
Did Mike hear that in the barbershop?
That was a joke, guys. Nobody stabbed your barber with scissors.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I wanted.
This is a big story. There's going to be more that comes out. This is going to continue to.
Oh, for sure.
To have bigger stuff come out behind it, I think, and hopefully the players' union gets their shit in line. You know, they should have never put this guy in this position.
There's a lot more iceberg under the water there, man. I mean, it's going to get worse before it gets better too.
Listen, again, it's easy to just blame Howell for all this shit, Brandon. But what were the players thinking putting this guy in charge in the first place? That's like what I
want to know
your representation.
Who's on the executive committee? I know Hayward is, but who is that group? Are these all players? The executive committee?
So there's 32 player reps, and then the executive committee is the highest of the high guys. And I don't think it's all just players. I think some of it's former players.
Some of them are former, for sure.
Yeah.
I think because they are because Sam Acho was one for a long time after his career ended. Like 2-3 years after his career ended.
Jed confirms that Irvin did stab a guy with a pair of scissors. The real Norm Macdonald move right there. He stole a spot in the locker room. Irvin really did stab a guy with a pair of scissors. It was an old lineman, and they have a barber brought in to cut hair. I don't know how this got, and the lineman would not let Irvin go first. Interesting. Michael Irvin don't play that shit. He's got shit to do. Breaking news on the bare minimum.
He used the barber's scissors.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't think he brought his own pair of scissors.
Can I borrow those for a second?
Dips them in the blue shit first. Make sure they're sterile.
And then hands them back without dipping them in the blue shit.
Anyways.
There you go.
Where are we going to next?
Are you happy with your haircut? Yeah. All right, so Dustin, I also woke up this morning and there was a lot of new stuff on ESPN, guys. As much as I hate ESPN as much as the next guy, but It is an app on my phone. It updates me when the Bears are involved in anything regarding something that's been written.
Well, just to be clear, ESPN is the one putting out all these articles we're talking about with the collusion shit. They're doing a great job covering this, and they're not getting comments from anybody. Nobody wants to talk about this shit because there's a lot going on.
Florio,
so ESPN's doing a great job with it.
It sounds like John watched the podcast as well. Florio basically said, man, I'm making an enemy out of myself. I have a lot of contacts in the NFL that might not want to reach out to me anymore because he practiced law, and he said, I haven't practiced law in 16 years. So if any players in the NFL who are watching this, and he said, if you haven't fallen asleep, he's making jokes about his own work, but he said, if you're watching this, if you want legal advice, call me. I will give it to you.
Well, so now I feel like there's some more points to be made because listen, when we talked about it earlier today, my main thing was the reason it's not being picked up and talked about is because the NFL is keeping people from doing it, right? Like Mike Florio said, like you are not
that's what he
the side of the NFL. Exactly, and that was my first thought as well as to why we're not really hearing about this on national platforms because it doesn't really help anybody to do so. And then the other point that needs to be made just on this, man, these non-disclosure agreements, keeping this shit quiet, it's literally never happened. The players union has never agreed to this type of agreement with the NFL. It's never happened. They've never kept this shit, agreed to keep pertinent information about the players' contracts, about, issues with the NFL from the players because their whole goal is to help the players. This has never happened before. It's completely unprecedented. And that's important to note as well, Brandon, because that has to do with the leadership of the NFLPA. And if it's happening for the first time ever, that tells you that it's wrong. It's probably wrong because nobody before them has done this and would agree to it because you can just feel that it's wrong when you even talk about it, right? Like clearly, like you should not be making an agreement to keep these things from the people you're representing. It's very, very stinky, man. Very stinky. I just wanted to put the button on it with that.
Not much union representation there, man. Fucking ridiculous.
There's a reason it's literally never been done before. Never happened. There's a reason.
He's got to go, man. He's got to go. Guys, the next thing that I want to talk about is, and I do actually have his name here, Dustin. Seth Walder, an ESPN writer.
He's all right.
Gave every NFL team a grade, an off-season grade, from your trades to your draft to your free agent signings, all those things. And he gave the Bears he started with an A+. I forget who it was at the top of the list, man. But I'm scrolling down because, you're going from best grade to worst. I think the Saints were the worst with a D. But I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm like, man, I've gone through like 10 teams and the Bears, whom I thought had a pretty damn good offseason, are still not here.
We are Bears fans, so grain of salt.
A B- is what he gave the Bears, and he did list his the thing he liked the most in the offseason and the thing he liked the least. The guaranteed money. This is what he says about Grady Jarrett. The Jarrett deal was awful value. They gave him a 3-year contract averaging $14 million, $28 million fully guaranteed. That includes a full guarantee of his 2026 base salary with Jarrett, who has been steadily declining, will be 33. Pass rush win rate has dropped every season from 2019 at 22% to last season with a 9%. He also suffered an ACL tear in 2023. But a B-, man. I mean,
well, what was the best move? I would imagine the best move was Joe Thuney, trading for Joe Thuney.
I'm reading an article about just his piece on the Bears, and it doesn't say it. I believe it was Joe Thuney, or I think it was related. It was related to
the offensive line.
Yeah, the line in general. Yes, because the offensive line was just graded the best improved unit.
Let me say this, and this is my first reaction. When Grady Jarrett was signed, I said it was an overpay. We knew it was an overpay. I think everyone kind of understood, like, this is an aging defensive lineman that you've just paid a shit ton of money to, compare him to the Jonathan Allen contract, other guys that were free agents that got deals. I mean, he was right there on par with them. And I don't think that you should expect the output production wise from Grady Jarrett that you're going to get from a Jonathan Allen. I just don't think so. So if you look at it on just that, it's like, yeah, that's a rough move. That's kind of a head scratching move. And we all thought that when it happened. But then as you start to get to know Grady Jarrett and see the impact that he's making on other guys around him, I start to wonder, is his impact on this team, does it go far beyond the numbers, Brandon? You know what I'm saying? So like, I think the value of that contract, the ROI on what you pay Grady Jarrett is going to be more weighted in your team success and the overall performance of your defensive line, because this guy is a leader and he's going to help these guys get better. It seems that that's what's happening and what's going to continue to happen. But yeah, if you're talking about like, am I paying Grady Jarrett for 8 sacks and to be a dominant force on the defensive line? I don't think so. I don't think that that's what you're paying for. I think you're paying for the leadership. And when you go onto the open market, Brandon, you're gonna pay a big tax for any player. We saw that all free agency. We see it every free agency. I think the Grady Jarrett number cannot just be judged on performance, if you get what I'm saying. I think there's more to it than that. I think there is. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think like I said, we talked about this. I think Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson immediately identified the fact that this team last year had no leadership on the roster. They needed leadership. Ben Johnson got himself.
And what's that worth? What's that worth?
And by the way, the move that he thought was the best this offseason was the hiring of Ben Johnson.
Okay, well there you go. But John S says most other outlets have the Patriots 1 and Bears 2. PFF.
They have the Los Angeles. They have the Los
gave
Angeles
Bears
Rams.
the only A+.
The Rams are number 1 on this list. And I'll say this, Jedediah, for what it's worth, because you want to talk a little bit about competition. Nobody in the NFC North did get a better grade than a B-. So the Bears got the best grade out of their division. But yeah, I mean, they're like 14th on this list. And there's some teams ahead of them, man, that
here, listen, if you're talking about middle of the pack, when we're us as Bears fans, we consistently,
the Raiders and Colts got better grades.
Us as Bears fans consistently overhype the Bears offseason. And we need to do a better job of not doing that. It's hard not to when, you continually come off of rough seasons and you're looking for a glimmer of hope. The Bears flipped this offensive line dramatically, dude. This Bleacher Report had this. Brent Sobleski had them ranked as the best and most improved unit in all of football. So, like, there is some credence to that. Like, the improvements that this team has made in this offseason are big ones. So a B- seems a little harsh, but I can see a B. I can see a B+ even, like, and be okay with that. But at the end of the day, these lists are just lists, man. Right? Like, the Colts and Raiders could be listed above them, but don't mean they're going to have better seasons than the Chicago Bears. Or
you got to look at the things that are. You do got to look at the things that are left undone, because there was some. I don't think that the pass rush got substantially better. I don't know what Deo's made of, man. Yet he's way overpaid as far as I'm concerned, based on production. I don't know about projection, but they also didn't. The running back room is they clearly publicized. They publicly stated that they wanted to improve it. It didn't get better. I mean, they got Kyle Monangai. We'll see. I'm going to still look at him like a 7th round pick. I'm not going to think that this guy's the Bears' hope and savior.
I don't think the Bears think that, Brandon.
But they got themselves a revamped offensive line, and Dustin, probably the most important thing, definitely the most important thing, a competent coaching staff. I mean, they flipped
a competent coaching staff, 100%.
Ben Johnson, Dan Rocher. You got, I mean, not just Ben Johnson, man. The hires at almost
Antoine Randall, positions. Eric Bieniemy,
L. Harris,
Dennis Allen,
all these guys, quality football coaches.
Bill Johnson,
and you weren't gonna make this team the best roster in the NFL in one off season. So I mean, a B- to me is still a little. I don't know. B+. I would accept that. I think.
I don't really give a shit about any of these rankings. Like you just said, you just listed a lot of good things that the Bears have done this offseason in terms of their coaching staff, in terms of players that they've added.
And things that are pretty fucking big. You know what I mean?
Important things. And listen, was it an overpay for Dio? Was it an overpay for Grady Jarrett? We don't know yet. The Bears obviously have a certain role in mind for both of these guys, and they thought that was the market value for it when you're talking about the free market, the free agency market. So they're projecting Dio to improve over the next 3 years. That's why they signed him to that deal, right? And listen, we could be looking back on that deal in 2 years and thinking it's just as bad as the Nate Davis contract. Obviously, that potential
or the Montez Sweat contract.
That potential exists. I don't know about that. But yeah, that potential exists is all I'm saying. But that's just the risk you take in the NFL. But in terms of what they had as needs and how they address those needs, I think it's a B at the very least, Brent. For sure. It's a B at the very least. When you talk about the biggest issue that they had being the offensive line and completely flipping the entire interior into a much better unit, that I don't think that you can discredit that in any way. And Ben Johnson was the coup of the offseason. That was the guy every team wanted.
The two things that you've said, Dustin, were the worst last season, especially for Caleb Williams' growth, was the offensive
play calling,
and play calling.
Yep.
They got the best play caller in the NFL, maybe. I mean, by some people's standard.
Well, he was on the last year in the open market. Yeah, 100%.
And the most improved interior offensive line by Bleacher Report standards. So, I mean, like,
some of the best pass blocking offensive linemen at their positions they signed or traded for
Hall of
and
Famer,
signed.
for sure.
Yeah. No, so I mean they drastically focused on and improved the two biggest areas that they had needs at, Brandon. Yes, 100%. So you have to give that a little more credit than a B minus, I guess. But like I said, it's just one guy's list. It's just one guy's list, and people have bias. We have bias. We are looking at the Bears in a different light than this guy, Seth Walder, or whatever you said his name. I can't remember his name anymore. But I've read some of his stuff as well. He's solid, but it's just a list. We have to see it on the field, man. You know, this is all content for people to, take in, but it's all speculation. That his article is speculation. What we're doing right now is speculation, Brandon. We don't know until they get on the field. But I could not have thought of a better way for the Bears to impact their offensive line than what they did in this offseason. I mean, it was really genius by Ryan Poles and to get the things done that they got done. And I think we should be excited about it. What up, Kyle, Bears fan for life, Phil?
Kyle, one of our what's up, Phil? Our counterpart stresses a lot, and what Adam Schefter said today has been you did everything you felt you could do in order to help your future franchise quarterback become your future franchise quarterback. That's what this entire big picture, that's what the entire offseason was. You got the innovative young play caller who's never going to get, your offensive coordinator is not going anywhere because he's your head coach.
It's not going to get poached.
You've got the offensive line that can keep the guy on his feet. You added a few more weapons in the offseason in Colston Lovin and Luther Burden. I mean, you have done almost everything. You got another running back. You've done almost everything you can to make this guy more comfortable, man. And that was what we were all begging for, because we didn't want to watch another quarterback fall flat on his fucking face in this organization.
I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't point out that we were saying all this same shit last offseason.
I was about the offensive line.
Not the offensive line, but the coaches that they hired, right? No,
I didn't like Waldron either, man.
No,
I was not saying all this.
No. There was a lot of people that were saying that the Bears had addressed these things. The Bears were saying themselves, we have a development plan for Caleb Williams. This is what we have in place. And people were praising them because they have it all set up for Caleb Williams. And they've hired all this new coaching staff. And they went and traded for Keenan Allen. And they traded for Ryan Bates. And they've done all these things to improve everything around them. Would you say that their skill position was ranked last year, Brandon, going into the season? Sixth. The Bears, yep. How'd that play out?
17th the year prior to 6th last year.
Yeah, and how'd that play out for the Chicago Bears? How were all those weapons doing for Caleb Williams and Shane Waldron and Thomas Davis's offense? It didn't make a difference because the offensive line wasn't there. I think that it's important to remember that, because we can get too high on these off seasons for the Chicago Bears. That's just something that happens consistently in Chicago, man. I am excited for the changes that they've made, but we've been here before and we've done it. You got to see it on the field. You got to see Caleb Williams take the next step. Like you said, everything that they could do with what they're looking at in front of them, I think that they've done. I mean, there's not much more you could have done in one offseason to impact the things that you needed to impact. But how that plays out on the field is a whole nother story, man.
Well, the possibility that I think most Bears fans overlook that are probably a little more positive than they should be is they could do all these things. The offensive line could be top 5 next season. Ben Johnson could be, play caller turned head coach, the best that ever was. Caleb Williams still might not get his head wrapped around it and might fail anyways, man. I mean, it's up to the player as much as it is the system around him. So, I mean, there's
Ben Johnson's never been a head coach. He could fall flat on his face.
And I talked about that. That's still a concern of mine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect that, but like that possibility exists just as much as there's a possibility this guy is the next coach that's going to take the Bears to a Super Bowl. He could be fired in 2 to 3 years.
But when it comes to
both things are possibilities.
But when you're drafting an off season, man, you can only draft. I mean, you can't draft seeing the results because
no doubt
before the season begins.
You're projecting.
So if I'm drafting based on just like I know who Joe Tooney, the acquisition, like I know who Joe Tooney is. I like you like Luther Burden. You want a Luther Burden here with that 39th pick. That's what the Bears did. Colston Lovin wasn't the guy that everybody wanted, but he was the position in which Ben Johnson wanted most, and it's the guy that Ben Johnson wanted. I mean, it's looking like they've done all the right things, man. But like you said, it never means it's going to equate to winning. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. It is, and we always have to point out too that they have what looks like the toughest schedule in the NFL going into the season too. So I mean, there's going to be growing pains even with all the additions that they've made. There are a lot of new faces and new places on the Chicago Bears roster and in the coaching staff. And hopefully it produces results sooner rather than later because we need that in Chicago. Chicago's a different place, man, when the Bears are excelling. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've almost forgotten what it feels like. I know we had the 2018. That felt like it was built on sand to me at the time. To be honest, I was excited for sure because they were successful, but like it's really been a long time since we've tasted legitimate success that's sustainable in Chicago, and you really just hope that these are the building blocks to that. And that starts with your second year quarterback and your rookie head coach and this offensive line being revamped and you kind of go from there, man. But it could be a rough start. It could be a tough season still for the Chicago Bears team, considering that they are playing an extremely hard schedule, Brandon. An extremely hard schedule.
Yeah, it's a gauntlet, man. It is a gauntlet. It's this certainly is not going to be a walk in the park for Caleb Williams or for Ben Johnson, just based on strictly competition alone. So,
and the other side of that coin is if they do well against that schedule, then that they're legitimate when it comes down to if they were to do well enough to get into the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs, they've earned it, and they could beat anybody in the playoffs because they're going to beat a lot of Super Bowl contending teams to get a playoff record with that schedule, man. So that's the plus side, right? Like if they do perform well against the schedule, then that's the real deal. I mean, if you look at the teams that they're playing.
Yeah, in regards to, like I said, Jedediah, I want us to talk about the division a little bit and the competition. The Detroit Lions were right behind the Bears at a B-. The Packers got a C+, and the Vikings got a C-.
Well, the Vikings went from Sam Darnold to JJ McCarthy. And I think that that's a huge deal that everybody just assumes.
Sorry, Vikings got a C+ too.
Oh, the
biggest move was sticking with McCarthy as the starter.
Their biggest move was signing Ryan Kelly and Fries.
That's the move he liked the most was sticking with JJ McCarthy.
They completely revamped the interior of their offensive line. New center, new guard, and they drafted Donovan Jackson.
Well,
that interior offensive line is going to be good for the Minnesota Vikings.
And the move he disliked most was signing Jonathan Allen, the defensive tackle.
So he obviously hated all the defensive tackle contracts, but you got to look at the market, right? You can't compare them to just nothing. You got to compare them to the signings that happened. Jonathan Allen, Grady Jarrett. There's a couple other names that I don't have off the top of my head, but there were some big deals handed out to defensive tackles in this free agency market, and like they had to be signed. And then the market is the market. That sets the price. So like you can't judge it against like just your average defensive tackle. And in an average season. In this free agent market, there wasn't a lot of defensive tackles to choose from, and teams were going to pay a premium on them, and that's what happened. That's the cost of doing business. So I don't necessarily agree with him on that, because you can hate you hate the Grady Jarrett signing and the Jonathan Allen signing. Well, those were like basically the two best defensive tackles in free agency this year. So what did you expect them to do? Not get paid? I don't know.
I do want to say this, and Jed, I hope you're still with us. I have projected that every team in the NFC North, besides the Bears, and this is not from bias, this is just based on the off seasons. I do think every team in the NFC North regresses from their overall record last season. It's heavily in part to the schedule. The Bears are not the only team that's going to face a rough road, guys. Every team in the North is in trouble here when it comes to who their strength of schedule and who they're playing. But I also just,
and also the NFC North is going to be a tough ass division. They're going to beat.
We've talked about the Lions time and time again. What happened there? That's almost given that there's going to be some regression.
Just based off the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, Brent. I want to talk about that a second, because to me, it starts and ends with Dan Campbell. I don't see regression in the Lions because I don't see Dan Campbell letting it happen. This guy is one of the best leaders in football. He will have his team ready to play. Regression in the record could totally make sense. I mean, they were the number one team in the NFC last year, and they won.
It's not a very bold claim.
No, for sure. Like they could go down to 12 wins. They could go down to 11 wins and still win the NFC North, and still be a damn good team. Obviously, losing your offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator stings like a motherfucker, but that means they were doing something really well, and that all started with Dan Campbell. I do not see the Lions regressing under Dan Campbell.
And I want to.
They have the same talent, probably better, because they're going to have Aiden Hutchinson back this year, man. That's a big deal.
I've had this conversation with you, Kyle, and Sean before. You guys kind of always follow this up with something it bothers me a little bit to hear. Losing somebody in the NFL occurs all the time. Every off season, a team loses somebody because if you're doing something well, you're getting promoted somewhere else. That's just the name of the game. It's what you replace. It's what you replace that with. That you really got. If you're a fan, it's okay. We lost Ben Johnson, man. Ben Johnson did a damn good job. He deserved a promotion. He got himself an opportunity. Good for him. But Dan Campbell's got faith. I trust in Dan Campbell and have faith in him enough to bring in somebody else. Another name, a guy who runs a good system, who succeeds in the NFL, and they didn't do it. And that's where my and listen. I think, and
Brandon,
a lot of people,
can I say something?
Hold on. A lot of people will disagree with this. I think Jared Goff, it's just my opinion, I think Jared Goff is a system quarterback, and the system that he's in will be heavily dependent upon his success. I don't know that Jonathan Horton is a guy that you want running your offense and calling your plays after spending the last 2 seasons with Sean Payton, who does that all himself.
He learned from Sean Payton. Let me play devil's advocate here on one thing, because how many of us knew who Ben Johnson was when Dan Campbell promoted him to offensive coordinator?
Well, he was relatively young. John Morton is not.
He's a tight ends coach. He was a tight end. Nobody knew who the fuck he was. But so all I'm saying is Dan Campbell has an eye for this potentially, and maybe he knows what he's doing. Maybe Dan Campbell's going to have more oversight over the offense. Is this guy as good as Ben Johnson? Clearly not. But
he's been around for a while. He's called plays before.
All I'm saying is we didn't know who Ben Johnson was when he became the offensive coordinator for the Lions, and then he all of a sudden became the best play caller in the NFL. So that's worth noting as well.
John
Morton yes or no? Is that worth noting?
Well, yes, but I don't know that Ben Johnson, who is a young up and coming guy who is getting promoted versus a guy who's been demoted twice.
Well, Ben Johnson went up and down a little bit from with the Dolphins, and then moved to the Lions and had to earn his spot there. Yes, but it wasn't like a straight shot up for Ben Johnson. It was a little back
on the Lions before he was promoted offensive coordinator. Was promoted to assistant head coach, but John Morton, which usually for some reason, guys, that always comes first. The assistant head coach thing comes before you're a play caller in the NFL. But John Morton called plays for the 2017 New York Jets. They went 3-13. His offense was ranked 28th in the league. This guy was not good at calling plays. He wasn't. He was terminated immediately after that. I mean, there's just no
2017 was that Sam Darnold's rookie year?
No, I think Sam Darnold's 2018, wasn't it?
Possibly.
I don't
Just
remember.
curious. You're throwing it out there. So what else with him? I listen, I'm not here to defend this guy or the hire.
He went from being a play caller to being terminated to this is 2017 to 2018, 2019, 20. I mean, you're talking about 5 straight years of nobody making this guy play caller again, and then he was made the offensive coordinator of a coach by a coach who would
calls the plays.
never allow anybody else to call plays to begin with. So I just don't.
And that's the point I made with Matt Nagy when he was hired by the Bears, and Jed's making it right now. Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, but he didn't call plays for them until the last game of the season before the Bears hired him. So, like, you do have worries with that. And also, but Matt Nagy had some early success as well as a coach. And it's a little different going from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator play caller versus going from offensive coordinator to head coach. I will say that too. There's a lot more responsibility on the head coach, obviously, than just being the offensive coordinator and play caller. All I'm saying is there's an infrastructure there with Detroit, and there's a leader there that you got to have faith in until they show you they don't.
But I'm not saying that the Lions
Campbell's going to make sure they come ready to play. That's for sure.
I predicted this division. I did my records. I think the Lions win the division. I'm not saying that they fall apart, collapse, and fade in the shadows, man. I think that, like you said, they were the best team in the NFC, the best record in the NFC. I think to say that their record regresses with the schedule they have in front of them, and then
makes sense.
Jared Goff, I think, regresses as well. I do, man. He just had a phenomenal season. He was an MVP candidate. I don't think that's going to happen next season.
When you look at his numbers before Ben Johnson and after Ben Johnson, it's very easy to come to that conclusion, Brandon. Ben Johnson made a big impact on Jared Goff's
the roster is still very talented.
Still very 100%. Talented. Yes, I think they are still the team to beat in the NFC North. Yes. And then we had you said the Packers were a C+ on their offseason grade on
the Packers and Vikings were both
random list.
And you know what, man? The Packers right now, if you're a fan, I mean, the Packers trajectory should be pointing up, but I just don't know that Jordan.
The Packers grossly overpaid Banks to play guard for them. That was the worst move Banks. That they made in the offseason.
I really like Matthew Golden. I think he was a good. I think he's going to do well in Green Bay.
Don't you think Matthew Golden though would have been better served going to a place that already had an established number one receiver though? Like, don't you think he kind of just gets thrown into the fray with all these other guys who are not number ones in Green Bay? Don't you think that's like the worst possible scenario for him?
Yeah, and then Green Bay's receiver.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, he would definitely benefit as a rookie from a better plane being across.
He would someone to draw attention from him to where he can just get at in the middle in the slot.
Every rookie,
they already got Jaden Reed there.
Every rookie would, man. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. would have had a much better season last year had he had some talent across from him. You know what I mean?
But wouldn't you better? But Marvin Harrison Jr. just because of his size and physical ability, and you would feel better about him going to Green Bay as a rookie than Matthew Golden right now. You know, like Matthew Golden feels somewhat redundant around those receivers that are kind of the same size. I mean, obviously he's got more speed, but what's the difference between Golden and Jaden Reed, and where are you playing him? So like Jaden Reed, if he operates best in the slot, where are you putting Golden? Golden needs to be in the slot in the NFL, in my mind.
And then are you hoping that Christian Watson can stay healthy for a year? Because that just doesn't seem to
That's a terrible thing to hope. You should not be hoping that at all. Christian Watson has shown, and listen, nobody was higher on Christian Watson than me, Brandon. You know that. Than I was on him in college. I thought he was going to be a stud. I thought he was going to be a stud, but he can't stay healthy. So, like, that is what it is, and you can't bank on that. If you had Christian Watson at his full health and full capabilities, that changes that conversation completely. But you don't. You don't. So I felt like Matthew Golden was like just adding another guy to this group that doesn't have this established guy. And I don't think Golden is going to establish himself as that guy in that group this year. I don't. So I don't know. I like the player. I don't like the fit in Green Bay with everybody else that was already there. Yeah, Ryan, what up, brother? Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button.
I think he's gonna have a really good year, though, man. Jordan Love, has the ability to throw 4,000 yard seasons, 30+ touchdowns. Matthew Golden's gonna benefit from being in Green Bay. I don't know.
Jordan Love is a lot better than most Bears fans want to give him credit for. That's just now he does kind of crumble in big situations, and he'll throw the pick when you don't really need him to the least. I mean, the most you need him to just be, safe, secure with the ball. He will make that mistake, and he's got to fix that for the Packers to have a chance for sure. And I also have questions about LaFleur in big moments as well in terms of his
And the guy
decision making. So
I can't remember his name, man. It escapes me right now. It's a very interesting name. I remember that. But the guy who will be replacing Jair Alexander is not a player that I know.
their secondary was one of the better ones in the league for the majority of the season last year. Now it is a little different this year, but you still got Xavier McKinney back there, who I like an awful lot, and I really
just
want
ranked
the
third.
Bears to go hard for in the offseason. But I mean, it remains to be seen. I don't think that you can just automatically plug the Bears in front of any of those teams in terms of how you expect them to perform this season. I think it's going to be a tight race. We all counted out the Vikings last year too, man, and they were the second best team in the NFC record.
Well, and then the Vikings, I did have regression. So this is how I had the Lions winning 10 games and winning the division.
It's not hype for Jordan Love. It's just realistic, Jed. But yeah, fuck Green Bay for sure.
I had the Lions winning the division with 10 wins. I had the Bears and Packers tied at 9 wins, and I had the Vikings at 8 wins. So like you just said, Dustin, I think it's an extremely tight race. I think all teams regress in regards to the record except for the Bears because given the schedule is just rough, man.
I don't think the division winner has less than 11 or 12 wins, man. I can't see the division winner only having 10 wins in this division.
Listen, man, if a team comes out of that division with more than 11 or more than 10 wins, that's a team that's definitely got the potential to win a Super Bowl. But the Vikings, I only say regress because
JJ McCarthy's
just not. And listen, you're going to be a lot of people can say, well, it was Sam Darnold.
Kevin O'Connell can do it.
Well, two things. First off, Sam Darnold is a guy who been in the league long enough. If you put him in a system, he can probably play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's
He'll figure it out, be competent.
There's a good support system around him. He can succeed. But second, I think this was really overlooked, man. I think regardless of how much he played, the year that Sam Darnold got to spend with Kyle Shanahan didn't hurt his progression. You know what I mean?
Oh, it definitely helped it. It definitely helped it.
And
very similar principles in Kevin O'Connell's offense
because that's where didn't he come from? Didn't O'Connell work under?
No, O'Connell was with McVay before he was.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right.
But those are very simple. But they were Shanahan and McVay were both under Mike Shanahan. So like the principles are all very much similar in terms of those offensive schemes. So Darnold was at an advantage with that, and he was in the right situation, and he performed well above any of our expectations. So kudos to him, man. But like,
Kevin O'Connell,
I don't think Kevin O'Connell's going to pull off that same magic with JJ McCarthy this season.
Kevin O'Connell's a pretty smart guy. You would assume that a lot of maybe some of the persuasion in signing Sam Darnold was like, this guy just spent a year under that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm Kevin O'Connell and I'm looking for a bridge quarterback, a guy who just left Shanahan's system, that doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt your chances.
At the same time, that guy who just performed at a high level, Sam Darnold, in that offense, you let him walk because you didn't want to pay him. So, I mean, we see teams all the time.
And he'll probably regress this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see teams all the time panic and just pay the guy, right? The Vikings, I think you should give them a little bit of praise. I mean, as much as I don't like to do it, for not panicking and overpaying for Sam Darnold and sticking with their original plan, whether or not it works out.
Signing Sam Howell, which was a good choice too. Man.
Yeah, man. So I mean, like, it's a strange transition for the Vikings, but I think you got to give them praise for not overpaying for a guy that they didn't feel like deserved that kind of contract, man. Then stuck to their guns on it. And, whether or not it works out for him, I don't know. I don't have faith in JJ McCarthy. I didn't think he was a good quarterback in college. And I thought he was highly overdrafted by the Vikings in the NFL draft. So we'll see how that shakes out. Maybe I'll have egg on my face when the season is over, but I don't think so. I don't think JJ McCarthy is that dude, man. I don't.
No, I don't either. Jedediah, one thing that I will say in agreement with you is this is just a really well-coached division. It's a really well-coached division. Matt LaFleur's got a damn good record, especially against the NFC North specifically.
Especially against the Bears.
O'Connell, to me, is already a top 5 coach in this league, man. And
Dan Campbell is too.
Yeah, Dan Campbell has turned the worst organization in maybe all of sports around. So,
would you put Dan Campbell in the top 5? Who's your top 5 coaches right now in the NFL? Andy Reid's got to be number 1, right?
No, I think I
No?
give Mike Tomlin the edge, but Andy Reid's definitely right there,
So
man.
I would go Andy Reid, then Mike Tomlin right there,
I
right?
would
And
say
then
Sean Payton's after those guys.
you're
I
gonna
think
put
Sean
Sean Payton.
Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah,
I would put
John
Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh.
I would put Jim
John
Harbaugh
Harbaugh.
over. I would put Jim Harbaugh over both those guys.
Oh no, definitely not. I'd
I
put
would. I
Sean
would
Payton and John Harbaugh,
over Dan Campbell.
and then Kevin O'Connell. I don't have Dan Campbell in the top five.
Okay, so you're Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, and Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I feel like Kyle Shanahan needs to be in that conversation, and that wasn't. I feel like Sean McVay needs to be in that conversation. So yeah, Dan Campbell's probably not a top five coach, and KOC is not a top five coach to me either. Then because I would have Shanahan and McVay over both of those guys. I think McVay over
So
both of those guys for sure.
so you
I
have
mean, I'll
Andy
go Andy
Reid,
Reid,
Mike Tomlin, Jim
Mike
Harbaugh,
Tomlin, Jim
Sean
Harbaugh,
McVay,
Sean
Sean
McVay, and Kyle
McVay.
Shanahan. Yeah, I mean, but
There's a lot of good coaches in the
there
NFL right now.
that's kind of what that comes down to, right?
Because
There's so many
Pete
good
Carroll is
coaches in the
also
NFL.
phenomenal. Yeah, Pete Carroll's a
Pete
phenomenal
Carroll.
coach.
Hell yeah, the AFC West has a ridiculous amount of great coaching in it. I mean, we haven't talked about why am I blanking on his name for Buffalo Bills?
Sean McDermott.
McDermott, yeah.
Yeah.
McDermott is the guy has that team successful and competing every year. I mean, there's some really good coaches in the NFL. Really
And
good
as
ones.
much as I hate to say it, man, because I really can't stand the fucking guy, but Sirianni's
Nick
proven to be a
Sirianni just won a
really
Super
good coach.
Bowl.
He's been to
We didn't
two, and
even mention him.
he's only
Yeah,
been a head coach for like for like 40 years, man. He's been to two Super Bowls. So I mean, you
so
can't.
then what we just said is that the top coach in the NFC North is not a top five coach in the NFL. Maybe not even top 7 or 8. And
But
we think the NFC North
but
has good coaching.
but in a league with really good coaching.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. Mike Ross, an average or above average QB on a good overall team is going to look impressive versus an average QB on any overall average or bad team. It's a team game, all three phases and coaches. Yes, yes, sir. Jed, all our division rivals have found their guy for at least the next few years. John S. agrees with me. McVay is top 3. He's got to be, man. He's got to be in your top 5. Um, Jed, Dan Campbell would be top 5 if it weren't for Dan Campbell being Dan Campbell. I mean, his aggression works against him, but his team believes in him, and they generally go out and execute what he wants done, man. But yeah, I feel you. But Dan Campbell is just like, it's great to see his story because when he first got hired by the Lions, it was like, oh, same old Lions doing some crazy shit. This guy's biting kneecaps, and then all of a sudden, like, he got that team humming. How much of that was the offensive and defensive coordinators that he chose remains to be seen. This is a huge year for Dan Campbell, man.
But he
Huge
chose
year.
them, Dustin. So that's
No,
credit to him as well.
oh, 100%. But I'm saying, like, if he loses both of them this year and that team does regress on a major level, then people will start questioning what
For
Dan
sure.
Campbell is actually
sure.
capable of.
100%.
This is a make or break year for Dan Campbell. Jed says Sirianni's getting carried by Howie Roseman and mostly Saquon Barkley. He's getting carried by Saquon Barkley.
And Sirianni just went against, it's what is it? It's the word I'm looking for, man. It's circular, not circular, but the league changes, man, and everybody starts to follow a trend. And then the first guy who's like, if I don't do this, if I go back to, the league was
he
all
zigged
running
when everybody else was zagging.
when everybody is running, and then it turned into this heavy
cyclical was the word you were looking for.
Cyclical. Yes, cyclical. Yes. And then everybody wants to start passing, and Sirianni's like, well, wait a sec.
Let's just go get this guy.
Now that every defense is in the league is built to defend the pass, I'm just gonna run down your fucking throat.
Let me put the biggest guys,
even with my quarterback.
Let me put the biggest guys possible on my offensive line and just beat the shit out of the.
Let me get a quarterback that's 6'4", 260. I mean, how big is Jalen Hurts? Is huge, man.
I don't know. I think you exaggerated a little bit, but his thighs are.
He's massive.
Yeah, he is.
I know he set some record during the bench at the combine too, man, for quarterbacks. I know the guy's like tremendously strong. So, but yeah, he just does, the tush push. Sirianni's an innovator, man. He is. He does things differently, like you said.
Jed,
these zags.
to back up Jed's point here, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. So I mean, like, I guess you do have a point
with
to an
Nick
extent.
Foles too.
Yeah. I mean,
What the
but
hell was that all about, man?
Howie Roseman did put that team together. Chip Kelly looked good as a coach for a little bit as well there. Yeah. I mean, you got somewhat of a point, but when you win a Super Bowl as a head coach, you got to get credit for that. Nick Sirianni was not really even in the list of guys that we mentioned. A lot of the guys we mentioned we're really giving them credit for this stuff that they did a while back. Jim Harbaugh, even on my side. I mean, now he came into the NFL 1 year and got his team into the playoffs, which is exactly what I expected because that's how
And
much
he
I think
came
of
in
Jim
the
Harbaugh.
NFL a national champion.
Yeah, as a national. So I mean, like Jim Harbaugh, I think needs to be on in that. He's in my top 5. But I mean, like we're also talking about past accomplishments versus more. What have you done for me lately? Right now, the team to beat and the coach to beat in the NFL are the Philadelphia Eagles because they went and did it. So I mean,
and
Sirianni does deserve credit. Yeah, Sirianni does deserve credit. That was an interesting tangent, Jed. Appreciate you throwing that out there. I mean, anything else we want to touch on with these division rivals? Like anything we missed in terms of what we think about their offseason and them heading into the league? We're expecting regression from the Vikings and the Lions and the Packers. What, to stay stagnant? Just kind of stay in the same place?
The Packers are hard to nothing about their roster says they should be tremendously worse or regress at all. But when you look at the way they played last year, and Sean brought this to my attention first and foremost, but the teams they beat versus the teams they didn't.
Yeah, they beat up on bad teams and they lost to all the good teams.
And they took good teams like the Vikings and the Lions to the wire.
But they still lost.
They crawled back on the Vikings after being down like 27-0. And you remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
The Packers almost came back and won that. I think they went to an overtime, but they still
I was watching that on my phone at the pumpkin patch. That was in late October towards Halloween time. That was a hell of a game. I won some money on that game too. I had a couple bets going that day.
But you're right, Justin. They lost, and when they did play winning teams, they lost. So when I see the Packers facing the schedule they're facing, which is very similar to the Bears.
Oh shit! No, that was actually the Packers Lions. Sorry that I was thinking of. But yeah, go ahead. This is the same principle. Is what you're saying still rings true.
They lost the good
get
teams.
there, but then they couldn't get over.
They lost the good teams, and they're about to play more of them. So that's really kind of where I think that loss.
I'll say this with Josh Jacobs, man. I could see regression in his play this year. No, I mean he
always follows a good season with an injury.
Yeah,
it's almost guaranteed.
And not just a good season, but a season of high touches. Really carrying the ball a lot. And just for running backs in general, there's regression usually that next year. So you could say the same thing about Saquon Barkley. Betting on regression with those guys is in your favor, is in the favor of the odds for sure.
Christian McCaffrey's, these guys who get abused, man. I mean,
So Christian McCaffrey should have a breakout season this year because he just had a shit season last year. That's Christian McCaffrey just bounces back and forth from healthy to unhealthy, and that's the difference in his performance. But I can just see I don't think that Packers offensive line is the best, and Josh Jacobs could be in for a long year. If they can't get the ground game established, it could be a problem. But the same thing goes for the Bears, man. If the Bears don't get the ground game established in the NFC North, they are going to have a long season, and Caleb Williams is going to have a long season.
Well, I want to get back because you mentioned it during our previous conversation. I want to get back to guys. ESPN ranked, and this is the one I wanted to talk about the most because it's just flabbergasting, man. I don't like ESPN ranked the skill position units in the NFL. So your running backs, your tight ends, your wide receivers, every team from 1 to 32. The Bears in 2023 were 17th. They made a huge stride in 2024 in the rankings and got all the way up to 6th. And they just fell behind their 2023 projection, which remember was DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. That's what you had.
And, Darnell Mooney.
And who's the running back on that fucking team? I don't even know.
It was Khalil Herbert.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it was Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson.
That unit was ranked 17th. The Bears are now ranked 25th in the league. So
is that a reflection of them getting worse or the league getting better?
Well, the article mentioned the loss of Keenan Allen. That was the first thing stated.
I don't know how much of a loss that was.
Yeah. Well, and if it is not that much, man. I mean,
Yeah.
guys, this places the Bears in the top 8 or bottom 8 in the
Yep.
NFL.
Well, bottom 5.
I just can't. I just can't. There's no way, right? I mean, I know, Dustin, you made the point that like we can be biased and we can be hopeful and we can get too far ahead of ourselves here, but DJ Moore,
My
Cole
question.
Kmet,
Let me ask this question: how much is Cole Kmet bringing this ranking down? If Cole Kmet wasn't here, how much?
Well,
how much higher would the Bears?
but honestly, man, who I did ask that question of myself, but it wasn't Cole Kmet. The player that I think brings this rank so down is
DeAndre Swift.
That's who I think it is. I think it's DeAndre Swift. I think they compare our running
The
back
running backs are not looked on very highly for the Bears, and rightfully so. I mean, it was a down year running the ball for the Bears. So
DJ Moore and Rome alone, bottom 5.
Mike Ross says he's no Kyle Pitts. We got some loyal followers.
Yeah, you guys are the shit, man. They've been here through it. I feel like you guys have been to war with us, man. But just based on the merit, just DJ Moore, just DJ Moore and Rome Odunze on a sophomore year alone, bottom 5.
Yeah. So what I said earlier when you mentioned this was like you got to really not be giving enough credit or accounting for enough the fact that Rome Odunze is going into his second year and there's going to be mass improvement from him. And you talk about losing Keenan Allen, but that could be a gain in some respects because those targets now go to Rome Odunze, who I think is a better player right now than Keenan Allen.
Definitely athletically more gifted.
Yes. And then you if you're not accounting for the potential upside of Colston Loveland, like they're just looking at floors, it sounds like. There's a lot more upside with Colston Loveland and Luther Burden than they're giving credit to as well. So that's an unknown for them, it sounds like. So they're not going to buy into that like we would as Chicago Bears fans. Which is strange,
Dustin, because this can only be based on projection because the teams that you're grading are not the teams from last year, right? You've lost
to
game pieces.
To an extent. So the Eagles still got most of their core weapons in place, right? All of them.
But a lot of these teams, like the Texans, were pretty high up there because they just drafted a couple wide receivers. But it's like, wait a second,
the Iowa State Twins, yeah. I mean, but it
doesn't make any sense, man.
Nico Collins and Joe Mixon are looked at more highly nationally than DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift. What I wanted to hear from you real quick, because I'm curious. Who are like the 3 teams directly in front of the Bears on this list? That's what I want to know. I want to know like Yeah. So I mean, like, because that's important to me because I want to know like if for me to feel like the Bears got jobbed with this ranking. And again, I'll make it clear, it's just a fucking list by a dude with bias and fallacy. I mean, like humans are fallible, so like this guy could just be an idiot, and this list doesn't really mean much to me, but it's worth talking about. Because you brought it up, and I just want to know who's directly in front of the Bears so I can really gauge how much of a bullshit article this is or if there's something that makes sense to me about the teams that are ranked in front of the Bears, because I think that's the best part about this.
The team placed directly in front of the Bears.
This is going to be funny, I think.
Is the New Orleans Saints.
The New Orleans Saints. Okay, so Chris Olave,
Alvin Kamara, Brandon Cooks,
Rashid
Shaheed,
right?
Rashid Shaheed. Those are that's the names they list.
He's a game breaker.
They list the guys.
Okay, so that's who did they list for the Bears?
They list Kyle Monangai, Roshan Johnson, DeAndre. They list the whole running back room. They list them all. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. They list the entire unit.
Cole Kmet?
No, Kmet is not.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. My theory of Cole Kmet bringing the rankings down is
but it's kind of funny. He's not. No
basis.
no honorable mention there.
All right, okay? So the Saints, I think that's bullshit. I wouldn't. Is Chris Olave has had an issue staying healthy. Shaheed has had issues staying healthy. Alvin Kamara is a fucking
Cooks
stud.
is
I love Alvin
old.
Kamara. Brandon Cooks is well over the hill. So yeah, like that's bullshit. Who we got next?
This one I actually like. I think these guys should
Trying
be
to
ranked
get
a
me
little.
killed, Jed. Get out of here.
These guys should be ranked. What is it? What?
Jed's trying to get me to tell his wife that she's fallible, like I'm stupid.
The Denver Broncos are in front of
Wouldn't
the
even
New
tell my
Orleans
own wife that. The Denver Broncos. All right, so then we're talking Cortland Sutton,
Evan Ingram,
RJ Harvey, Evan
RJ Harvey,
Ingram.
Pat Bryant.
That's it. That's all they list. Okay.
Cortland Sutton, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant, Evan Ingram, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin.
Mims. I like Troy Franklin.
And he's not in here, man, but
the receiver that I picked up in fantasy a couple of weeks last.
J.K. Dobbins, and then Vele.
Vele is the receiver that I picked up in fantasy for a couple of weeks last year to get me through when I had neighbors injuries. Yeah, I mean, I would put the Broncos in front of the Bears right now. Brandon, wouldn't you? That seems kind of fair.
And I think Marvin Mims might break out, man. He's got the potential to be a really
listen. Cortland Sutton is a damn good wide receiver.
Cortland Sutton is my shit. He has been on my fantasy team.
Shit.
He's been on my fantasy team for 3 years consecutive, and I fucking love that dude. Man.
Okay, so we got one in the Saints that we don't agree with. The Broncos, we could see. You know, you can make an argument for either side, I think, but we could see the Broncos getting put in front of the Bears. Who's next in front of them on that list?
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey, Amarion Hampton,
Quentin Johnston, Najee Harris, Amarion Hampton.
Najee Harris. Did they name Trey Harris at all? The receiver they drafted out of Ole Miss? No.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, again, can you make an argument for the Chargers over the Bears or for the?
It says Mike Williams is back. I like. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that Chargers group is vastly improved from what it was last year, and when you consider
and you got to put
Justin
a lot of stock.
Herbert,
you're putting a lot of stock in Amarion Hampton because if that guy is what he has the potential to be,
and in Jim Harbaugh's offense, fuck. Amarion Hampton is a guy you really need to watch out for in fantasy football, in my mind. But
he's going to be drafted high.
Yeah, but either way, he'll be worth it, I think. But so, would you put the Chargers over the Bears, Brandon? Do you think that that's fair with the list they have there?
No, because we're doing this on projection, man. No, because I think Colston
Amarion Hampton is just as much of a projection as Colston Loveland and Luther Burden.
I think Colston Loveland's a stud. I think this guy puts a lot of weight in running backs, man.
Ladd McConkey better than Rome Odunze?
No.
Okay. And then Trey Harris is not comparable to DJ Moore, I don't think.
Quentin Johnston could have his.
And the Chargers don't have a tight end. Who's their tight end? Tyler Conklin?
Yeah. And Quentin
Get the
Johnston.
Fuck out of here. Yeah,
Quentin
that's
Johnston
bullshit.
Could take a step forward, but he's still not what he.
Yeah,
he's never going to be what he
Johnston
was drafted to be.
Has had a big problem catching the ball, like actually holding on to the ball when it hits his hands. So, I mean, I don't think that I would put the Chargers over the Bears. So we got 2 out of 3 teams so far in front of the Bears that really don't make sense to us. Is there another one you want to get into?
Well, yeah, because he puts so much stock, man. This guy puts so much stock in running backs because he says 2 spots ahead of that, the Broncos or the Chargers, 2 spots come the Raiders. Well, you have Brock Bowers, the pass catchers he lists, Brock Bowers,
Jacoby Myers, and Jack Besh,
Dante Thornton, and Jack Besh. Oh, and he
Dante
does put
Thornton.
Yeah, it's a 4th round.
He puts Michael Mayer on there too.
Yeah, he does put Michael Mayer on the list. But then he says the game changer. He says the game changer is Genty and Mostert being the 1-2 punch.
Okay, so leaning heavily on the running backs, you could see why the Bears would be as far down as they are.
Yeah, this guy's very clearly a little biased
towards the running.
Which, by the way,
position.
he does put quarterbacks on all these lists too. So I'm guessing this is another guy who's just not the biggest Caleb Williams fan.
Oh, that's becoming pretty common in national media from most people, except Colin Cowherd. It seems like not a lot of people backing Caleb.
He even praises the addition of Geno Smith,
which again, when you're the Raiders, that makes sense. But Geno Smith is not, I don't think, is the ultimate answer for the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders think so either. But
I think the best thing of Geno Smith is he's going back to the coach that he used to play for. Outside of that, I'm not too excited about Geno Smith. If I'm an Oakland Raiders fan, man, I'm a Vegas Raiders fan. I'm looking at Geno Smith as a bridge. Like there better be something coming, man.
There's nobody on the Bears roster that I'm going to really compare to Brock Bowers right now. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate statement? Is there anybody you would pick over Brock Bowers to be your weapon on the Bears?
Yeah, this list is ridiculous, man, because in front of them is the Raiders.
Well, so I just want to make that. Okay, the Seahawks?
Yeah, Smith Najigba, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker, and Valdez Scantling. I mean, come on, man. Stop.
Yeah, that's stupid. If DK Metcalf was still in Seattle, that might make some sense. I could make some.
Then he puts the Jaguars, which with
Brian the Jaguars.
Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter is one of the most exciting things in this future season. I'll say that.
Yeah, but is that as good as Rome and DJ right now? You think?
It might be, man.
Well, Brian Thomas Jr. is really good, but I think
Travis Hunter's going to be a fucking stud.
I love Travis Hunter, man. I do. You know, I thought he was the best player in this draft. But
then you're kind of. But then his.
I don't know.
weight.
I think I take DJ Moore.
Then Brandon, the weight let me just say, behind running backs is falls off a little bit here because
when you got ATN, yeah,
and Tootin, who I'm not as high on as everybody else was.
I liked him. I think the Bears would have loved to have had him, to be honest. So I get that to an extent, but I'll say this, man. I just want to say it out loud again. I take DJ Moore and Rome Odunze over the combination of Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter right now. I do.
Yeah, just want to say by the end of next year, though, you might not be saying
that. It might change. It might. Are the Giants ahead of the Bears on this list?
He does say this, man. Tariq Cohen's ability to get the best out of running backs after what he did with Bucky Irving. He says Tank Bixby and
Tariq Cohen. Is that what you said?
Bucky Irving.
No, is the coach? You said
sorry,
Tariq?
Liam Cohen. Okay. No, the Giants, I believe, are one behind the Bears. Yeah, they are one behind the Bears.
Interesting.
Let's see. I want to see who he is. I didn't even look who he is number one. Let's see.
I would imagine it's the Eagles.
It is.
It's got to be the Eagles.
Sorry, the bottom of this page is also ranked all the trades from the offseason.
It is wild that the Bears wide receivers.
It's the Eagles. Eagles and Lions are 1 and 2.
Lions is debatable around. I mean, the Chiefs. You could throw the Bills into that conversation. I think
the Bengals are number 3.
You could throw the Bengals into that conversation. You could throw the Vikings into that conversation.
Guess who number 4 is, man? I'll give you. You can guess once.
No, I can guess once. That the Cowboys.
I'll give you a hint. It would require a lot of health.
Buccaneers.
Players would have to get healthy. Would you just
go ahead. The Buccaneers?
The Niners.
The Niners. Interesting. Jed says it's wild that the Bears wide receiver room is being underrated when you look at who we have. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is a low. Oh, Jed guessed San Fran, but that came in after you said it, so I don't know if I trust Jed on that one. But Jed seems like a reliable guy, so we'll give it.
Seems honest.
Except with his wife.
Where it matters the least. So.
San Fran could be a very.
I like Ricky Pearsall, man. I
love Ricky Pearsall, but I would not put them 4. I mean, again, that's Christian McCaffrey. You're just banking on Christian McCaffrey being a dominant force in the NFL again, which that's hit or miss because, like you said, health is a big deal there for the 49ers. And number 5 was what? The Chiefs. The Vikings should be high on that list, Brandon, too, right?
Number 5 is the Rams. But a lot of people are loving this Devontae Adams thing more than
I don't love it.
I'm not crazy about it either, man.
I'm starting to doubt myself though because everyone keeps talking about what a stud Devontae Adams is going to be in fantasy and how good that offense is going to be with Puka and Devontae. When that signing happened, like I was not I was not super into it, man. I don't know how I feel about Devontae Adams at this point in his career.
I nah. Puka
Yeah.
Nacua is a much better player than Devontae Adams this season, man. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I think so. But so the Bears 27th. I don't
25th.
again
25th.
25th. Okay, 25th. Either way,
I think it's worth mentioning the teams behind him, man. Because like
the Giants, you said. I would imagine the Browns are pulling up the rear as well.
the Giants, following the Giants is the Jets. Following the Jets is the Bills.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Interesting. So that's
Following
Keon Coleman, Shakir. Well, I mean, with
he listed Curtis
Cooks
Samuel, who was
as their
signed in
running
free
back,
agency.
they're 27th
Yeah, and
or
Travion
28th.
Henderson, man. Or no, sorry, no, Ray Davis, James Cook, Ty Johnson. That's a decent. I like that more than I like the Bears.
The running backs, yeah, for sure. I mean, just James Cook on its own is worth
Yeah,
more than what the Bears have.
he is the Browns after them. He is the Browns with Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Deontay Johnson, David Njoku,
Quinshawn Judkins. Anybody? A little bit of Quinshawn Judkins.
Judkins, and Sampson.
Yeah.
And then he's got the Patriots, understandably so.
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers, and dead last is the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, that makes sense. Who's the Titans' number one receiver? Restrepo?
He listed Tyler Lockett.
Ooh, that's rough.
Restrepo, Tajay Spears, he said, as the running back, and then
they still got Pollard, right?
Calvin Ridley, Van Jefferson.
Ugh.
And then they did draft, and I'm reading this all over the place, man. So if you guys are fantasy guys, put this on your radar. If you're your watch list, maybe. This is the third source I have seen. One of them was not a Titans writer, man. Called this.
I like how you got real close when you went to say this.
The biggest.
Yes, put this on your radar.
I read an article the other day. The highest potential breakout player in the NFL this year is Elik Iomanor, a 4th round receiver
out of Stanford.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was expected to go higher in the draft than he went.
Out of
I mean,
Stanford.
that was a steal for them for sure. I mean, the guy is an all around receiver.
Okay,
I mean,
so there's
nothing
something
he
behind
really.
this.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good size.
He's
very reliable catching the ball. I mean, he just doesn't really have anything that stands out in terms of
he's a big kid.
Like, yeah, but like he's just not. No, there's no breakaway speed. He's not like housing.
No,
dudes.
he runs a 4.4 even.
That's decent. I mean, but like, yeah, people thought it was a steal going to them where he went because he was looked at as a 2nd or 3rd round guy at the latest, going into it.
But he's 6'2", 200. I mean, this is a big kid.
Mm-hmm. Big kid. We'll see. I mean, I'll be interested to see how Ward does in his rookie season with what they've given him. Jed asks, is there any category Tennessee isn't dead last in?
Actually, yes, man. Off season, the one we were just reading from the off season list, they were like 3rd, and it's because it's because they drafted a quarterback.
Interesting. And well,
they had they were given an A on their off season.
Here's an interesting question.
Man, you made a joke. I do like Xavier Restrepo, and I think he will be an impact player on that football team, man.
Here's an interesting question. And Restrepo ran like a 5'2" in the 40 or some shit. So just throw
it was a 4.83. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question. Would grading an offseason, would you give more weight to drafting Cam Ward to a team that needed a quarterback than getting a play caller for Caleb Williams and going into his 2nd year?
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, or getting an offensive line for Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
or doing both in an offseason, you can't give more weight to just drafting Cam Ward into a shitty situation than Caleb in a situation where they have made it infinitely better around him with the 2 things that were the worst off. He was the worst off in dealing with last season, right?
Yeah, I would put any team with the quarterback going into their 2nd year if they've done
Mike, we love you. Have a good night.
Later,
I'm
Mike.
sorry, Brandon. Brandon, go ahead. Start again, please.
Did he say we're too hardcore?
Yeah. I don't know. We're talking about the Titans. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But what was your answer? I was interested in hearing. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't put drafting a quarterback in front of
just drafting a quarterback just because you have the number one pick.
Changing your culture. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right? So I mean, so when you talk about the offseason grades and the Titans being
that guy
high
was terrible, man.
And the Bears being that low, it's like, well, what are you really analyzing? Are you just analyzing that there was a need and it was addressed? Because if you're analyzing that, the Bears had many needs that they addressed, right? In a pretty dramatic way in a lot of areas. Are you analyzing what that team already had and how they went to improve it? I think you got to analyze all those things. It's not just like straight additions. It's like, what were those additions meant for? Can you see a plan with what this team is doing? The Bears, you could see a plan. They signed and traded for offensive linemen that are the best pass blockers they could have possibly gotten at those positions, man. There's a clear plan there, right? They want the best pass blockers possible in front of a quarterback that they think is going to be one of the best passers in the NFL. At least you see a plan and that they're trying to implement that. I feel like you got to give more
weapons in
give
the middle
more
of the
weight
field.
to that. Yeah, exactly.
You get some center of the field, some inside the numbers guys, which always makes the quarterback feel a little more comfortable, man, because he liked Keenan Allen a lot. You got some guys that can fill that void. And I will say this, man, that offseason grade did also list Elik Iomanor. So this guy is on people's radars, man.
Okay, but Luther Burden will be a much better player in the NFL than
him. I don't even know who this fucking guy is, man.
I know who he was. We did a lot of mock drafts, man. We dug deep into him in a couple of drafts. But I just think Luther Burden was clearly like a top 2 or 3 receiver in this draft that fell to the second round. Elik Iomanor is not that, for the Titans. So and the Titans have a decent offensive line. It's okay, but the Bears improved theirs to be better than that. So I mean, I just feel like the guy really wasn't looking at the organization and the team's plans and what they're really trying to implement with these moves. The Titans are years away from putting together something like that for Cam Ward. Years.
And I don't think he's put any weight into how aggressive the Bears were, man. I mean, because the safe thing to do for the Titans was draft a quarterback. Honestly, man, this wasn't even a very good quarterback class. They just did what they
they drafted the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah, they did what
there was no other choice to make. Yeah,
the Bears took risks. They're trying to flip this thing upside down in the middle of developing a quarterback. I mean, it's if Ryan Poles was aggressive in his pursuit of trades, he was aggressive in getting the coach he wanted. I mean, the Bears did things the Bears
signing free agents. I mean, all across the board.
These were not very Bearsy things that we've witnessed over this offseason, man, and I think that's good.
They were Brandon, you could say they were very aggressive in the draft too, in terms of drafting Colston Loveland at 10. And
they absolutely were.
And
then they traded 5 times. Yeah, I think
that was less aggressive.
They took more risks, passive, but it's risky to leave talent on the board, man, to continuously move back to acquire more draft capital. That's risky.
Yeah, it is.
Some GMs would tell you that's just a bad way to do it, man.
I got a feeling that we're going to be looking at that draft in a couple of years and being like, the Bears missed out on this guy, this guy.
Oh, for sure. A guy that I like in Buffalo, man, is Landon Jackson. He was there twice. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But if the guys they did draft actually turn into, at least half of them turn into what they expect them to be, then you don't have that doesn't sting anywhere near as much, right?
Yeah. So another thing on ESPN today, man, the ESPN's doing the top 10 players at every position, and then 5 honorable mentions following the.
And this is voted on by executives in the NFL, right? Is that what I read? It's not just it's a vote, like a poll. It seemed like.
I believe so, and
yeah. Way to do your research. I thought it was a poll by executives.
I just had it pulled up too, and I don't know why I accidentally closed the tab that I had it open up.
Yeah, and I mean, so they're listing the defensive end, the tackles. You had both of those lists come out today, right?
Yeah, so they did 3 positions today. They released the defensive tackles. I don't know why, but the safeties were tied in there too, and then the edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
So they did those 3, and then like I said, they gave you top 10, and then they gave you 5 honorable mentions. Oh, and they've already done their running backs too. Oh, running backs was first.
Where's DeAndre Swift ranked on that list?
He is not on the top 10 running backs. Yes, this is a collective group of writers. No, Dustin, this is not league
Okay.
executives. This is a collective group of ESPN writers, though. So this is not just one guy writing a list. But what's worth mentioning, man, is that the Bears don't have a top 10 player or a top 15, really. Because let's be honest, if you're putting the 5 honorable mentions, you're doing the top top 15 players at every position, right?
Yeah,
Right.
like yeah, the top
You might
10
as well.
sounds a little better than top 15 for sure.
Yeah. So the Bears did not make this list at any of these positions. Not running back, not safety, not edge, not defensive tackle. Now,
That's not surprising. That is not
I think
surprising.
Javon Dexter certainly has the potential to be a top 10 player at the position by the end of this season. I don't think
he does.
I don't think he's expected to be. Again, we've done this before, Dustin, on this show. Montez Sweat is not in the top 15 at the edge position, and this guy is paid like 7th in the league at this position.
List the 5 honorable mentions, Brandon. I think George Karlaftis was one of them.
As on the edge position.
Yeah.
Brian Burns.
Okay,
He's
good. Nick Benito,
Nick
Denver.
Benito, Jonathan Greenard, George Karlaftis, and then Josh Hines Allen, who's very much deserving of. I would put in the top 10, to be honest. And then there's also received. Oh no, you're right, Dustin. This is the executives. So it was voted. So received votes as well. Khalil Mack, Rashawn Gary, Trayvon Walker, Montez Sweat, Greg Russo, Chop Robinson. So you got Montez Sweat down there with Greg Russo and Chop Robinson, and received votes but not honorable mention. I mean,
Gregory Russo. I mean, he's been solid, but like, so your greater point is, and listen, I don't want it to be the beat up on Montez Sweat, conversation.
Yeah.
But when you pay a guy to bring that level of talent and bring that production to your team, and they're not bringing it, it puts you at a disadvantage. It just does. That's just what it boils down to for me. It's not Montez Sweat not performing to the level of that contract. It's not Montez Sweat that he got paid that. It's not his fault that he got paid that much. But if he's not performing to the level of what these other guys are doing at that position, then it puts your team at a deficit.
And you paid him
just
too much.
Does. Yeah. Well, and that's not on Montez Sweat. It isn't.
No,
but
Ryan Poles paid him too much. But and here's another thing, Dustin, that bothers me is when Montez Sweat, because you're talking about now the top 15 players at each position, right? When Montez Sweat was paid, guys, a lot of defensive ends have received contracts in the last 2 years. Do you know where he was when he was paid at the position?
He was like third,
fourth,
right?
He was fourth at the position when he was paid. Montez Sweat
is
not even in the
Bosa
top.
Got paid. TJ
and he's
Watt
not even
paid,
in the top 15.
Max Crosby.
So when Ryan Poles paid this guy, and you're right, this is Ryan Poles that we're criticizing here. When Ryan Poles paid this guy, he had him pegged as a top 5 talent at the position, and we're seeing this list now a year later, and he's not in the top 15.
This is a quote
that means things haven't gone well since the signing, man. That's what that means.
Yeah, for sure. And it means that other talent has emerged at the position as well, which is bound to happen. But this quote, just from this article, this is the thing that stands out the most, and this is what how everyone should look at it. The top tier defensive ends tilt the math on the field. Protection slide, offensive lines show double teams, and the sacks still come. This list of guys
I've said this so many times, man.
Yes, and we've been saying this in regards to Montez Sweat, and it's just as clear as day that is how this article is prefaced, and then Montez Sweat is not on this list. And so it's just when you put him up there in terms of that pay and his production is down here, that puts your team in the negative. It just does. You need that guy to still generate pressure and still generate sacks, regardless of the double teams, regardless of the fact that the team is stacking that side of the line in order to plan for that guy. That still needs to happen for these top tier guys. And Montez Sweat needs to have a season like that this year. I don't think anybody knows that more than Montez Sweat, Brandon. I don't think anybody knows that more than the Chicago Bears. He's set up for success this season. He needs to nail it. He needs to hit it out of the park this year. It has to happen.
And people can throw the numbers at me, the pressures and the this and his run block, but like when you're given that money, man, at that position, when you said the sacks still come, that is what you're paid to do. That is what you're paid to do. And when you tell me, well, he gets double teamed or he doesn't have enough talent around him, well, some of the guys who do this best in the league, man, are in the same situation. Some of these,
I don't know who's on the opposite side of Max Crosby. You know, they drafted
Christian Wilkins was signed, but he didn't play. Yeah. He played like one game.
So I mean, they drafted a defensive end high in the draft a couple years back, and I'm blanking on his name, but he was a top 10 guy, and I liked his upside, but he hasn't really shown what they drafted.
And then they let him go. The small guy, right? He was a free agent this year.
I don't know if they let him go this year.
You're the guy I suggested the Bears should look at, and you guys told me on the show he's not.
That's not the guy. That's not the guy.
And then Dustin, here's another thing: when you're paid as much as Montez Sweat is paid, the one thing that you see these players consistently do who are paid at this level, and this is not disputable, guys. Well, no matter how much you love Montez Sweat, they multiply. Those guys make the players next to them better players. They almost always do. Because
Tyree Wilson is the guy.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson was a high pick,
yeah.
But these guys multiply. So you can say to me, like, well, Montez Sweat doesn't have the best players around him. And I could say, well, now look at Myles Garrett. And you could say, well, Myles Garrett's players around him are better. But they're better because of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it's a chicken or the egg conversation. Yeah.
These guys multiply. They make talent, or the players around them, better because they draw more attention. And they
still get theirs even though they're drawing that attention. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, and that's really what it boils down to. Am I saying that Montez Sweat cannot be that guy in this upcoming season in a Dennis Allen defense? No, I am not. He really has not been that guy though. And when you keeps coming back to this for me, when you pay the guy to be that guy and he doesn't turn into that guy, your team is at a disadvantage. Just that's just point blank period what it is from a team building perspective. So Montez Sweat needs to step up. I think Montez Sweat knows that more than anybody. I think he's working really hard to do so, and I expect him to have a better season this year than he did last year. I really do. But you want to see him be a dominant force. I want to see him assert his will in game to game, because there were games where we saw that, Brandon. There were games where you saw that from Montez Sweat in 2023.
Shut it down. To get just real quick to go back to Judge Isis, I bet he gave him an A when they drafted Will Levis too. Yeah, that was
God. I couldn't stand Will Levis in that whole draft process. I was telling you guys, Will Levis was a bust when everyone was starting to get high on him. I did not see it, but sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
Focusing more on Ryan Poles too, because that's what people keep telling. Like, it's not Montez Sweat's Ryan Poles, the guy paid him. Okay. When that trade was made for a second round pick, and a lot of Bears fans were pretty high on that trade, man. And me and you were the only ones.
I hated it. I hated it when they made it, man.
Why?
I hated it.
Your season was in the bag.
Yeah, and he was going to be a free agent. Yes, you could have just went and signed him. Didn't have to give up the second round pick.
And based on his production, based on his numbers that he had acquired up until the point, he wouldn't have been $100 million player. And what bothers me the most, man, is when you acquired him, it wasn't going to change anything. It wasn't going to change the result of your season. That wouldn't have changed.
No doubt. And I said all this. I don't want to keep relitigating this, to be honest. Like, we've beaten this drum enough. Montez Sweat is a Chicago Bear. The move was made. The reality is that his contract, you said, is what, 7th among defensive ends in terms of average annual salary. So you need top 10 production from Montez Sweat statistically. Hey, I didn't agree with the move when the Bears made it. So fucking what? Montez Sweat is a Bear now. I just want him to perform. That's what I want from Montez Sweat.
And that's what I keep
And
saying. I
and
need
that
him to
is
be
a
better.
defense. That is a team defense thing for sure. There are multiple things that go into it, but guys like that just seem to dominate the game when they want to and when they're in it. And Montez Sweat hasn't shown that enough. I want to see that from Montez Sweat. I'm going to be unstoppable in this game, and you're going to have to fucking send a triple team my way in order to stop me from getting to the quarterback. That's the kind of guy I need Montez Sweat to be, and that's the kind of guy the Bears defense needs him to be for this team to have any success. You said on Monday, man, if they can generate pass rush, this is a top 10 defense in the NFL. And that is the truth. That is the truth. And the biggest key to that, regardless, it's not, I can say Javon Dexter can help take the pressure off Montez Sweat by putting that pressure right up the middle and taking the attention off of him. The biggest key to the Bears having a good pass rush in the NFL and making that defense top 10 is Montez Sweat. That's what our hopes are banked on. Montez Sweat having a 13,
Put your
14
money's
sack
banked
season.
on.
Yes, yes, yes. So if that don't happen, we're not going to see that type of defense from the Chicago Bears this year. So here I am hoping that Montez Sweat steps his game up, and that is the case 100%. I'm done talking about the trade, man, to be honest. Like, it is what it is. It's done. I didn't agree with the move when it was made, but he's here.
Well,
so
and I do want
it's time to perform.
I do
It's time to
want to
perform.
say again,
Put up or shut up.
if Ryan Poles had traded for a player on an expiring contract last year during a 10-game losing streak, guys, how much it doesn't make fucking sense.
Well, he kind of did that with Keenan Allen. I mean, they weren't in the middle of a 10-game losing streak, but they ended up having a 10-game losing streak with Keenan Allen on their team who had no contract.
You don't trade to acquire talent in the middle of a losing season. You sell. You trade players away. That's what you do.
It felt like a last gasp to kind of like preserve Matt Eberflus. That's what it felt like, and then they kept Matt Eberflus for another year, anyways.
And look at what Jed just said. As you said that.
Yeah, Eberflus made it nearly impossible to get a fair assessment of any player on defense, in my opinion. You can see it when the team hasn't bought in. Hoping Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen can light a fire. Yeah, no doubt. But the point I was more making was Montez Sweat, the trade for him kind of had this other effect where it made the defense look better. It made Matt Eberflus look better. And I think that was directly responsible for him being retained for another year when he shouldn't have been. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that was a huge part of the fact that we kept Matt Eberflus for an extra year because that trade for Montez Sweat changed that defense when it happened.
It had something to do with it, but I think it was more him taking the play calling that bought him one more.
Well, he happened to take over the play calling at a time where they traded for Montez Sweat, though. Like, those two things kind of
the defense
worked
improved, man. And I don't know that I credit that to Montez Sweat. I mean, Montez Sweat had a good year when he was traded here, but I don't know that I credit that the defense improvement. The defense improved when Matt Eberflus took the play calling. It did. He was a good play caller.
Hey, man, Sean put out that article. Check it out on 4-Star Chicago Sports. Talking about why he believes Montez. It's a great article talking about why he believes Montez Sweat and Javon Dexter are going to have breakout seasons this year. And he credits Dennis Allen's wide 9 system to lending itself to being more advantageous for Montez Sweat. I'd like to see them move Montez Sweat around more in that line. I talked about that on Monday. There are some different things that you talked about, him dropping back into pass coverage potentially in Dennis Allen's defense. There's different things that can be done with Montez Sweat to make him harder for the offense to stop. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, like, to put him in more advantageous situations. And hopefully those things happen in the Dennis Allen defense. And like you said, Jed, lights a fire for these guys, for all these guys on this defense. But if Montez Sweat needs to be the leader of this defensive line, I don't know that he will be, but he needs to be. That's what needs to happen. He needs to lead this team in sacks and for this team to generate enough pressure to be a top 10 defense in the NFL.
He needs to make plays when plays are required, man. When the Bears need to come up with a stop and you got a defense or an offense in 3rd and 9. I don't care if Montez Sweat's double team. I don't care. Don't pitch Manny. That guy needs to get back there. He needs to. Listen. People forget so quickly how bad things got here, man. When you watched shitty quarterbacks shred you to pieces because there's just no pass rush. Nothing getting back there, man. And you forget all these guys are NFL players, man.
Well, Brandon,
Daniel Jones can tear you apart if you don't ever get there, man. So
I've mentioned Eberflus's defense being predictable, the cover two being very easy to exploit in the short game, and you're only rushing four generally, and it's very predictable how you rush. You know, everything about Eberflus's defense was predictable. The hope is that in Dennis Allen's defense, that is more aggressive, that is more creative and less predictable, and will send more blitzes and you know just open up more pass rush lanes potentially for a guy like Montez Sweat. Like the hope is that those things change from last year to this year. And Montez Sweat being healthy, man. You know, he did have injuries that he played through last year, and everybody plays through injuries, you know, but it does impact the game. So like it does impact your game. So like if we're hoping for health and we're hoping for a better fit in a Dennis Allen scheme that I think will be a better fit for Montez Sweat and most players on this Bears defense. Can he do it? Yes. And does he need to do it? 100%. The Bears need him to be a dominant force this year.
100,000,000%.
I think he can be it, man. I think he can do it in this defense with the additions that they've made to this defensive line, man. I like the rotation.
Oh, there's no doubt in my
The
mind.
edge is still a question mark.
He's going to improve from last year.
Mhm.
There's no
The
doubt.
edge is still a question mark, Brandon, but it's a question mark because of Montez Sweat's lack of performance from last year. If Montez Sweat goes back to getting 12 and a half sacks in a season, that question gets answered a lot better than what it was last year, man. It just does.
Absolutely. And Dustin, anytime I've talked about Montez Sweat, I proceed the conversation with he just needs to be better. And that's always, for some reason, on this show, it sparked a few debates, but like, I don't see where the debate. He needs to be better. He needs to be better.
Again, I don't think there's anybody who would say that more than Montez Sweat. Yeah. I'm sure Montez Sweat has that expectation of himself more than any of us do of him.
I think that was more I forget the guy's fucking Greg Williams. I think that was
that was a Greg Williams defense under Sean Payton. Yep.
Dustin, you want to dive into this fantasy stuff?
Not really, man. We're at like 2 hours, right? I mean, do you?
I mean, I did the homework after you said do the homework.
Oh, you did it? Okay. Well, then let's talk about it. I made this a very Bears-centric list, just so you know.
Okay. Let's start with quarterbacks.
Okay. So, again, these are like potential league winners in our minds, and this is just very early on in the process, but guys who will perform above their ADP and get you a good value, I think. In
guys who you might draft as a 2 or a 3 that could perform as your 1 for sure.
Yeah, it's late, Jed. It's late, but we're gonna get into this still either way. Just fuck it. So quarterback, man, we might have the same one here. I don't know, but I got Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's ADP is an 84. That's a QB 9. He has the third easiest schedule of quarterbacks as of right now. This is all from Fantasy Pros, by the way. I pulled the info from Fantasy Pros. So I think Kyler Murray has potential to be, 6 to 8. He'll improve upon that position on that a little bit. But I mean, if you're going to draft this guy in the 7th, 8th round, I think you're getting a solid starting quarterback if you can wait that long to draft him. And I expect Kyler Murray to have a pretty surprising season this year, to be honest. I think you could see him in the top 5. He's finished top 12. He's finished top 12. I think he's finished QB 12 a few years in a row here at 18 to 19 points per game. But I could see that improving this year with a second year out of Marvin Harrison Jr. and a better season from their tight end.
Okay, I like it. I like Kyler Murray, man. Kyler Murray's always given the statistics that a fantasy manager could benefit from. Mine is
QB 7 or 8. I see him finishing that this year. Yeah, sorry.
Mine is Caleb Williams.
Oh, Bears centric, nice.
QB rank 27th, ADP 86th. Caleb Williams is going to be
so right around the same spot as Kyler Murray.
Yeah, he's going to be well above that, Dustin. I think I think this guy can finish as a QB1 in every fantasy league. It doesn't matter what format you're playing in or what platform you're using. I think He's going to be the guy that can average between 25 to 30 points for you. And obviously the Lamar Jacksons are getting 45. But if you're drafting Caleb Williams and you're at 86, you're drafting
Well,
this
if
guy in
Caleb
way
Williams averages 25 points a game, that's going to be fucking phenomenal, man.
you're,
That's a hell of a
you're,
season.
you're drafting this guy somewhere in the 5th round. I mean, he's going to be a much better player than he's drafted to be in fantasy. So yeah, I got Caleb. That is my only Bears player, but
I figured you were going to go Caleb. That's why I went Kyler Murray, and I did misspeak. Kyler Murray has the 6th easiest schedule of the quarterbacks according to Fantasy Pros. And Caleb Williams, what's up?
Caleb Williams is 27th in regards to schedule.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And Caleb Williams would not be a 5th round pick, man. And if he'll be a fucking 5th round pick in Bears in Chicago fantasy drafts for sure. But with that ADP, he'd be like a 7th rounder, but basically in a 12-team league, 7th or 8th rounder. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So I mean, even better value. I mean, but we're talking about two guys that are basically going in the same spot. We're looking at, you wait on your QB, you get a guy like Kyler or Caleb. But again, in the Chicago fantasy draft, you are not getting Caleb in the 7th or 8th round. He will be gone before then, unfortunately.
Yeah, man,
so that
fucking 1st round.
That means I am not touching Caleb probably in any drafts, most likely. So Kyler Murray might be a good fallback option for you guys. Who you got at running back? You go first on this one.
I went with ADP of 68. Where are you seeing where that has him as at the position?
That's in the rankings.
Oh, okay. I went with Caleb Johnson
on the Steelers. Caleb Johnson on the Steelers, huh? 68?
Yeah, his ADP is
68.
68. I think that Caleb Johnson can finish as your RB1 without a doubt. Mike Tomlin, I mean, this team loves to run the football, man. Najee Harris had 4 seasons with over 1,000 yards. They also like to utilize their running backs to catch the ball out of the backfield. Caleb Johnson's a bruiser. I thought he was one of the best backs in this draft with a really talented class of running backs. And yeah, I think this guy can account for a good 30% of the Steelers' offense, considering especially that outside of DK Metcalf, they're really hurting for pass catchers on this.
I gotta say, man, that I think a lot of people are discounting Warren in this conversation. Jaylen Warren is their pass catcher.
I mean, Najee Harris
is their pass. No, he had 1,000 yards 3 years in a row, Najee Harris. But like, Caleb Johnson is jumping into that role. So PPR wise, you need touchdowns out of Caleb Johnson for him.
I was just going to say, I also think that Caleb Johnson gets into the end zone because he's a much more powerful back than Najee Harris. Man, at the goal line was awful.
Jaylen Warren is their
surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah,
he was a bruiser in college, and he just lost it, man.
He had a tough time getting in the end zone, but Caleb Johnson.
What was that one season where Najee Harris didn't get a touchdown for like the first 14 weeks or something? There was an astronomical number of weeks that Najee Harris went without scoring a touchdown.
Again, I'll just say, man, I think Jaylen Warren is being slept on in this conversation. I am not as high on Caleb Johnson as some people are. I think Jaylen Warren will be the number one back for them.
An ADP of 68. I don't think there's too many people.
Yeah. I haven't looked at what Jaylen Warren's ADP is, but I bet it's not as good as that. I bet it's in.
No, probably not.
Yeah. And I would rather take the value of Jaylen Warren than Caleb Johnson with that ADP.
I don't think I would draft Warren in fantasy, man.
Jed says he thinks that was the year he had Najee Harris. Yeah, I think you had Najee Harris that year, Brandon. That's why it sticks out in your head, too.
Well, I just remember reading it again and week after week. They were like, oh, another week of Najee Harris not getting a touch, another week. And it went for like 12 weeks, man. It was bad.
Listen, man, my running back is Quinshon Judkins. I like him a lot better than Caleb Johnson in terms of opportunity. I think that he will establish himself as the undisputed lead back in that room, whereas Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson are going to be fighting it out for touches. I think that's what you're going to see in Pittsburgh. I think Quinshon Judkins becomes a true number one running back on the Browns. I don't think they're going to have a choice but to hand him the ball. I don't think Sampson is on his level. The guy's ADP is 60. So, I mean, that's decent. That's pretty high. You're talking about a 5th or 6th round pick that you're spending on Judkins, depending on who you're drafting with. But I think you're getting back 2nd round value out of this guy. He's the running back 25. He's got the 3rd easiest schedule of running backs according to Fantasy Pros going into it. I think you're looking at the best rookie running back of this bunch in terms of production this year. I'm betting and banking high on Quinshon Judkins.
I'm gonna dispute that, man. I think Genty will be, and I think that because of this. I love Quinshon Judkins. I'm seeing all these videos. The guy is a machine. But as much as a team like that will depend on running the ball, it becomes very hard to run the ball when you can't move it.
They got a solid offensive line in Cleveland, man, and
they're not going to pass the ball well, man, and that's gonna they're going to load defenses.
One thing that Kevin Stefanski does is run a creative run game. I mean, everything is based around that, man. I don't have doubts that they're going to be able to run the football. I mean, Quinshon Judkins, just on opportunity alone, just on touches, is going to bring.
He's going to get a lot,
value.
But
yeah, it's going to bring you back value.
He better be a stud, man. The defense is going to load the fuck out of that box.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, no doubt, because the quarterback situation is very much rough in Cleveland. I get that, but I just believe that the Browns are going to want to win games on defense and running the football, and I think Quinshon Judkins will be the focal point of that offense. And in terms of running against a stacked box, I think he's a pretty damn good running back to do it too. I expect him to get you back much better return on your investment than what you put into it.
Oh, for sure. I know, I agree.
Yeah,
wide receiver or tight end?
We got two running backs. You guys ever think about running a bare minimum fantasy league? Well, not we just did, Jed. We're thinking about it now.
I didn't do two running backs, but I could easily pitch one.
Jed wants us to do a fantasy league for the bare minimum.
I'll give you
that out there.
Go ahead and give me your, because I already have the guy. I just got to look at his.
I got DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift was a guy I was super high on last year, and I got him on most of my teams. He had some good weeks. He had some down weeks for sure. I mean, I won basically all my fantasy football leagues last year, so it worked out really well for me. I had DeAndre Swift in 2 out of 3 of them. 1,300 all-purpose yards basically is what he ended up with last year. And I think that he's in a better situation this year. He's behind a better offensive line. He's got a better play caller. I think his quarterback takes positive steps. I see DeAndre Swift going for that 1,500 all-purpose between rushing and receiving like I saw last year. And I see at least 9 touchdowns for DeAndre Swift. His ADP is 62. Yeah, 13th easiest schedule, according to Fantasy Pros. I think DeAndre Swift is a guy, if you get him in the 6th or 7th round, you can get 3rd round value out of him in terms of his production when it's all said and done. That's what I believe. Again, you're going to have to take him, in the 6th most likely, but I think that would be well worth it. You're getting a potential running back 1 in the 6th round, and that's a fucking steal to me. I like DeAndre Swift a lot this year, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a PPR league, if you're in a standard league, don't touch that guy. But if you're in a PPR league,
does anyone do standard leagues anymore? I'm only in PPR leagues. I've never.
Yeah, I don't
standard league in forever. PPR.
My second one, man, actually sparked in my mind while we were having conversations through the first few segments of this show. Marion Hampton in this Los Angeles Chargers.
He's going to be a stud in that offense.
His ADP is wrong. It's 46. He is going to be drafted much higher than that in your drafts, guys. So
46 puts him in the 3rd round, the late 3rd, early 4th round. That's a player high to spend on a rookie running back. It's decent.
If this is a player you're targeting, I'm thinking you're going to have to take him a little higher than that, to be honest. But
Jed, you're the first member, bud. So yeah, there's room. We got you. We're going to work something out. Brandon doesn't seem high on it. He's not commenting on it at all. But we'll work something out, Jed.
What's that? Bare minimum fantasy league?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fucking game, dude.
Oh, yeah. Finally, you say something. Jed's in. He says there's room. There's room because it's just us 2 right now, and now you, Jed. So he's got 3. Yeah, you're a 3rd right now.
Jed, sincerely send your email to 4-Star Chicago Sports as Gmail, right?
At Gmail, yeah.
Send your email there, man. We'll get that set up.
Oh shit! He's talking shit already.
Oh, we'll see. Platinum. I don't think Gus Edwards is going to do too much to tell Marion Hampton's carry or workload. And I as good as that we just talked about that, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston getting better, man. As good as they are over there, Trey Harris, I still think Jim Harbaugh is not going to sway from what he does best, man. He runs the
He
damn
wants to
football.
run the football. I think Justin Herbert is in for a hell of a season. He's another quarterback that's going to be a late guy.
Yeah, I made a bet. I made a bet already for 4,000 yards.
I think you could get some good ROI on where you draft Justin Herbert this year. I expect a much better season from him than he had last year. But yeah, that's besides the point. Yeah, Omarion Hampton, I think, is in line for major work. You want when you're drafting running backs, you're just looking for the touches. I want to see the amount of opportunity for him to get in the end zone, because once they get in the end zone, they kind of made your day. You know what I'm saying? So like Omarion Hampton's going to get the touches, and that offense is going to move the ball with Justin Herbert. So you could get a lot of good goal line opportunity with Omarion Hampton. I like Omarion Hampton better than Caleb Johnson, Brandon. I like him better than RJ Harvey. I like the situation he's in a lot better. And I like his situation better than Quinshon Judkins too, to be honest. I just like Quinshon Judkins to get the touches and make do on and make bank on them. But I think Hampton is right there with him, man. And Hampton's obviously in a better situation, a better offense, just better team all around. So yeah, Hampton might be a better pick than Judkins, to be honest. If you talk about the situation.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. I wonder where the ADP for Ashton Genty is. It's high, I'm sure, but
he's a first round pick.
Yeah,
he's got to be a first round pick. I mean, yeah, in the 12-team league, he's a first round pick. I mean, if you're talking about the running back that you want, if you can have the first choice, it's Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson would be the guy, and then Saquon Barkley is right there. But again, you talk about the amount of touches.
Derrick Henry too, man.
Yeah, but when you talk about these guys getting all these touches, man, and coming back this next season, it's a good bet on regression, as we talked about earlier. So, I mean, like, that's something to consider. I like the idea of Bijan Robinson because he's younger, and I mean, he's got his career in front of him. I think he's in for an extreme breakout year this year. But in terms of wide receivers, Brandon, you go first on this one. Who do you got?
Should I say both or just one?
Just one.
Ricky Pearsall.
Okay. I like
Ricky
that.
Pearsall is ADP of 94.
Did you see today that it got announced that Brandon Ayuk might start the season on the PUP list?
I did not.
Yeah, that could boost volume for a guy like Ricky Pearsall an awful lot. So this is a good pick given that potential news.
Strength of schedule, second in the wide receiver.
Second easiest?
Yep. ADP is 94. So, I mean, got this guy going damn near undrafted, man. That's just ridiculous. But, yeah. I
94 is not damn near undrafted.
I know, man. I know. But he came on really strong at the end of last year, man. He had 2 back-to-back games to close the season. Really good fucking games. The guy needed some time, obviously, after missing the offseason. But he's a player that I liked in the draft to begin with. I like his size. He can play inside the numbers, outside the numbers. Yeah, Ricky Pearsall, I think you're going to get a far better draft total or fantasy total than 94 ADP, man.
Yeah, you're looking at him as like an 8th or 9th round pick, and I mean, you're hoping for 5th round return, right? When you make
he's your wide receiver too, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. And if you can get him as a fucking wide receiver 3, even better. Honestly, if you can have 2 guys, that are better, and then have him as your 3rd option, and put him in your flex, pretty solid. My guy, man, is Rome Odunze. I got major high hopes for Rome Odunze. I think you're talking 1,100, 1,200 yards and double-digit touchdowns for Rome Odunze this year. He is ADP of 82, so like a 7th round pick. Wide receiver 39. His schedule is tough. 30th in terms of 30th easiest schedule of receivers. So I mean, he's gonna have a gauntlet just like Caleb Williams. When you mentioned him, 27th. But I think Rome Odunze is going to start making cornerbacks look silly with his route running and his ability to go up over the top of them and catch the ball. And I think Caleb Williams is going to realize I just got to get the ball somewhat near Rome Odunze, and he's going to make a play on it, and he'll be Caleb's go-to guy in this Ben Johnson offense. So I think if you draft him in the 7th round, you're talking about a wide receiver 1 potential out of Rome Odunze. That's what I expect out of Rome. I expect him to have a better statistical season than DJ.
I said you might be drafting your number 3 receiver and ending this season with your number 1. That's what I said about Rome for sure, man.
Yep. Yep.
Rome outside of Caleb Williams, Dustin, is the only Bears player I trust. DeAndre Swift, and again in a PPR league for sure. But my second receiver, man, based
I
off
like
strength.
the. Let me just clarify again with DeAndre Swift. If you're drafting him in the 6th round, you might already have 2 running backs before then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he is your 3rd guy. He's your flex guy. And if he brings back running back 2 numbers, that's a league winner. You know what I'm saying? Like you're looking for the value there. And I expect improvement in his production because of the offense and the offensive line that he is now in and behind.
Another player that I like, man, I didn't look up ADP or anything, but at the running back position, man, is the running back the Vikings signed as their backup, Mason.
Jordan Mason. Yeah, hell yeah. He could be a league winner potentially. Yeah. I mean, listen, I really like Aaron Jones. I do, and I understand like he keeps getting older and he somehow keeps defying the laws of age. He had a really good season last year. He was one of my running backs on one of my fantasy teams, and more often than not, he put up good solid numbers.
If he got injured, though, you'd
Jordan,
be pretty safe. Yeah,
but Jordan Mason had trouble staying healthy last year too with the 49ers. So like that's something to consider as well. But he's a bruising running back. I loved him on the Niners, and anytime he was healthy and got touches, he was pretty fucking dominant. So yeah, that's a great sleeper pick. Jed says DeAndre's boom or bust. Play him on the right matchups, and he can be an asset. I would not want him as my running back 1 or running back 2, though. Yeah, no. Again, I'm looking at him as my running back 3 with the potential to return running back 2 numbers. And when I get that kind of value, that's what leads to winning leagues.
My second wide receiver, man, is strength of schedule is 12th easiest. And again, man, a guy who ADP is probably where most people would say like this is pretty fair, but he's just carried me, man. He's carried me in the playoffs year after year. It's Cortland Sutton. His ADP is 48th, so you're getting him, 4th round, bottom end of the 4th round. I love this fucking guy, man. And it says best potential is early. He ends up being early 3rd, but like I think every year this guy just, and then you've got.
So you're hoping for 2nd round production from him at worst.
It says
if you're talking about getting a return on investment there.
Says his best would be the best they think he could finish is like a 35. So,
but I mean, if I'm drafting a receiver in the 4th and talking about this guy being a league winner, like performing better.
I'm talking about Cortland Sutton being your number 1 receiver.
And, no, you're talking about a wide receiver 5 to 10.
Yeah,
and league finishing is a 5th to 10th ranked wide receiver. Yeah,
that's one thing that I'm very firm in believing, man, and a lot of people might disagree with this. Bo Nix just threw 3,800 yards. Sean Payton's quarterbacks don't get worse, man. They don't regress. They got more talented. They got a better running back. I believe in R.J. Harvey. Javonte Williams couldn't stay healthy.
Sutton is their clear number 1 for sure.
I really like Cortland Sutton, and I think that he actually has a better season than he did last year. And he was on my team last year, and he had a pretty damn good season.
My guy's going to be surprising, I think, because this guy could be your last skill position pick potentially, and you could end up keeping him on your bench for a couple weeks. But late in the season, he could be a league winner for you. It's Jack Besh from the Raiders, the ADP of 160. So, like, yeah, you're getting him in late in the draft. He might be your last skill position pick, but I think this guy ends up being the number 1 receiver for the Raiders by the time the season's over. I think Bowers is their number 1 target, but if you're talking about a wide receiver 1, the Raiders have desperately needed, and they don't have. Jacoby Myers is not that. He's a slot guy to me. I think Besh is a guy that can play on the outside, and Geno Smith loves to throw the deep ball. I think Besh could be a big target for him and a guy that will be good in the red zone as well. I think getting him at 1 in the 160 range, wide receiver 62 with the 4th easiest schedule, I think you're in line for much better return on your investment than what you're spending. I like this guy as an absolute steal in every fantasy draft. I'm gonna be trying to get him in every single draft, every single one.
Another guy, man, I want to mention the wide receiver position, which, by the way, I really love that one, Dustin. I didn't even think about it. Jack Besh is definitely going to finish better than that ADP, no doubt about it. Roman Wilson is 270.
Exactly, Jeff.
Roman Wilson is 273.
He's not going to be drafted.
Yeah.
He's a waiver wire pickup.
This is the guy you throw. No, you take your last pick, man. You put this guy on your bench, and
Ah,
you wait for this. You wait for this to start happening because, with outside of DK Metcalf, I mean, they have some tight
Brandon, what
ends.
up, brother? Brandon
They got
Hollum, Luther
what's going on,
Burden.
Brandon?
Yeah, I like Luther Burden too. I mean, I don't know if he's drafted. I'm sure in Chicago fantasy drafts he's getting drafted, but I don't know.
And you'll have to sit on him for a little bit, I think.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, especially
But
we'll see how the injury goes. But I love the idea of Luther Burden. Halfway through the season, just going
the
off.
the Steelers got DK Metcalf. It's pretty clear they're going to want to run some tight end sets, some 2 tight end sets. With now they have Jonnu Smith, they have Darnell Washington. You still got Pat Fryermuth. Roman Wilson is your gimmick player. He's your slot. He's the guy who plays inside, man. I mean, this guy is fast. You can hand him the ball in the backfield. You can do some. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, man. You can do a lot of things with him. He's only
Hit
5'10",
that like
180
button,
pounds.
Brandon.
He's
Yeah,
only
no, for
5'10",
sure.
180 pounds. But
He's a good red zone target too. He was a great red zone target in college. He was really
yeah.
good at getting open in the end zone. I mean, again, I could see that translating to the NFL. I like Roman Wilson a lot coming out of that draft. I don't know that he's drafted in fantasy leagues, to be honest. But I mean, if you
Not.
draft him,
He wasn't even as a rookie. I took him with my
yeah,
last pick, and then he was
yeah.
injured the entire year. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, Dustin, who's your tight end?
It's Colston Loveland. It's Colston Loveland. His average draft position is 125, tight end 13, fifth easiest schedule though. So I mean, and I just expect him to establish himself as a better player than Cole Kmet. I expect him to establish himself as the number one tight end, and I think he'll be the number one red zone target for Caleb Williams by the time this season is done. I think you're going to see this guy get close to double-digit touchdowns at his best. So I mean, if I'm taking him in the 11th, 10th, or 11th round, I'm okay with that. If I haven't had a tight end up to that point, I'm okay with taking Colston Loveland as my number one tight end. I am. So like you can call me crazy, but Brock Bowers was a guy that I was okay with being my number one tight end last year, and that worked out really well for me. So I'll take another chance on that because the top end tight end talent, it tends to let you down. You saw that last year in a lot of these fantasy drafts, Brandon. I mean, there's a couple of guys that have been consistent, but that they were inconsistent.
Yeah, I drafted Travis Kelce. That was the end of my team, man. And then I took Dallas Goedert and the other one, and he was good.
Yep, and then he got injured.
And I waited forever for Goddard. I think I drafted.
Wait on your tight end. Wait on your tight end, guys. I mean, I like George Kittle. I love George Kittle. But like, I'm just not Dawson Knox. Like, or sorry, who's the guy? Yeah, who's the guy that the not Dawson Knox, the other tight end that was going super high for the Bills, the guy they just drafted, and last year it was going into his second year. You got nothing on that name, but he was like way too high for me in all these drafts. I didn't want that. I felt better waiting on Brock Bowers than going after some of these guys that were put up.
And I think he's going to have
on that pedestal.
He's going to have a good season, man. It's what the fuck is that guy's name?
Here's a good debate to get things heated early next show with all four.
Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid, yes. I thought it was way too high of a price to pay for him, and I didn't want it. So I mean, like, I feel that again this year, and I am not a person that drafts tight ends high. So I'm gonna hold off, and I'm gonna take Colston Loveland in the 11th round if he's there, 10th round, and maybe, and I'm gonna roll with him as my tight end one because he's going to score touchdowns this season.
This is awesome that the chat leaves these inside remarks about our episodes that just get out of hand.
We already know how that's going to go, and we already know what that is. But what you got to see is the season play out, and who ends up being correct. That's really.
I'm going to do the same thing I've done every year. Cole Kmet has been in the NFL, not draft Cole Kmet on any of my fantasy teams. Oh, my tight end man is strength of schedule is 12th. ADP is 102, so you're getting this guy pretty damn late. Just newly acquired by the Denver Broncos, Evan Ingram.
I like Ingram a lot.
Yeah, I think he finishes the top 5 tight end, Dustin. I do. I think a 102 ADP is insane. I think this guy.
I don't know if the Broncos like to use tight ends. I mean, it's just not been a thing for Sean Payton.
I don't think that Bo Nix had any good ones, but I think young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks rookie quarterback I forget the statistic, man.
Okay, so let's throw this out.
Rookie
Sean Payton.
quarterbacks throw to tight ends like 40% of the time. It's an outrageous number.
Well, he's not a rookie no more, but Sean Payton had Jimmy Graham, and that worked out pretty well for his offenses. So I mean, there's precedent for it, but besides that, there hasn't been much coming out of the Sean Payton offense by way of tight ends. Could he have that kind of
And Evan
impact?
Ingram kind of
Evan
plays like
Ingram,
a receiver, man.
Evan Ingram is a very tall receiver. Yes, that's what he is. Very much in the ilk
Because
of Jimmy Graham.
He's not
yes.
big.
Jed says, Brandon, it sounded like we drafted the same teams. Kelsey nuked my team last year. I was not touching Travis Kelsey last year.
He was brutal. I mean, every week, Jed, every week I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to be the week he gets like 20 points, like a touchdown and 100 yards. It never fucking happened. It never happened. And he burned me, man. I actually, by the end of that season, Jed, I benched Travis Kelsey, which is crazy. I mean, I think I drafted him in the second round.
I like Evan Ingram,
second round pick.
I like Evan Ingram. I like that pick. I like the situation that he's in. It's the best situation he's been in maybe his whole career. So it's going to and I mean he got off with Trevor Lawrence. Bo Nix, I think, might be a better quarterback than Trevor.
He had 104 receptions with Trevor, 109 receptions with Trevor Lawrence in a season.
I think he might be in a better position than he has been in his entire career. And if he can just stay healthy, because that has been the issue with Evan Ingram, he will put up top 5 tight end numbers. I think yours might be a better floor. It's definitely a better floor than my pick. I like my ceiling higher, better, which is, that's what fantasy is to me. You bet on ceilings and you try to hedge your bets with floors. So, I mean, if I'm drafting Colston Loveland as my number 1 tight end, I'm going to turn around and take another safer option as my number 2 tight end a few rounds later and kind of double dip right there.
You could probably take Evan Ingram with your number.
That's generally, if I went Evan Ingram and Colston Loveland, that'd be pretty amazing. But that's generally how I approach tight ends, like back to back in the 10th to 12th or 13th round, like that. So I'm going to go high upside and I'm going to go safe floor with tight ends, and I like Evan Ingram's floor in that offense, Brandon, and you can get really good ROI on Evan Ingram where you're taking them. So I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, man, that 2 years ago he had 109 receptions. He was the only tight end to finish in the top 15 in the league in receptions. Every other player was a receiver. So I mean, like this guy, he plays he plays just like a receiver, man. He does. So yeah, I could see big things for him if Bo Nix continues to air it out the way he has, man. I don't see Sean Payton hitting the brakes on Bo Nix. You know what I mean?
Since Brandon Hollum checked in with Luther Burden, do you think Luther Burden gets drafted in fantasy?
No.
You think he's a draftable player?
No, I don't. And I think if you wanted to take Luther Burden with your last round pick, that could pay major dividends for you.
Yeah, you could be the smartest guy in the room.
And
now
in my fantasy league, guys, you get points for returns. I think Luther Burden could break a return for a touchdown, man. But I want to say this, man. Luther Burden will be involved in more ways than catching the ball. So I like it. I like having Luther Burden.
You got to qualify. You got to qualify it though, because I think in our fantasy drafts where it's nothing but Bears fans, Luther Burden probably gets drafted 100% of the time. Don't you think?
Maybe, man. I mean, this is not a very Bearsy thing. I mean, the chat might be mad at me for this because I don't draft Bears. I haven't had a Bears player on my team in probably 5 years. I had
Swift. I had Swift last year, and that worked out okay for me. He was my third running back, and like that was okay in terms of the production he had, and I'm expecting kind of the same thing from him. But yeah, generally, it hasn't been a good idea to draft. And there hasn't been a lot of options, but I threw out, 3 here with the Bears on these guys that I think could be sleepers in terms of where they're being drafted, because I do expect Caleb to, and you threw out Caleb because you expect Caleb to progress, right? So that will
Caleb is a guy I would honestly draft this year.
That will directly impact DeAndre Swift's production. That will directly impact Roma Dunze's production, and that will directly impact Colston Loveland's production. Those are the 3 guys I threw out. DJ Moore, I don't think you can really be a sleeper with him. I mean, where you pick him is hopefully where the value is, because you're probably drafting him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're drafting him to be your wide receiver too, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I mean, that's probably the production you're going to get back. I just think that you can see better things from DeAndre Swift this year. I think
The
Roma
one thing
Dunze
that I, the
have
one
a
thing that I,
breakout season.
for guys like Jed who play fantasy football, man, that are listening to this show right now, Roma Dunze, Dustin hit it on the head. That guy could end up being the best receiver on your team, and you might get him in your 9th round of your draft, just or 7th, we'll say. But just keep that in mind, man. But yeah, I liked the Jack Besh. I like Roma Dunze, man. I like those are two guys I would very much be intrigued by drafting, and I do like Judkins, man. Judkins
Black
is a
Rain says, "Hey fellas, I have the 5th pick in my money league draft. Who should I take?" So let's workshop this a little bit. Who's your number one pick? Is it Saquon Barkley?
no,
You
it's
think
Bijan
Saquon?
Robinson.
It's Bijan, right? Then it's Saquon. You think at number 2, or what are we looking at there?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, Jahmyr Gibbs 3.
Actually, no, Gibbs is 1. Sorry, I'm
Gibbs.
going Gibbs 1. Yeah, Gibbs is
Okay,
1. Sorry.
so some combination of Bijan, Saquon, and Gibbs, 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
Depending on who's picking.
There
So
might
then
still be people out there, man, who are going after Christian McCaffrey at a high level too, man.
Christian
I don't know.
McCaffrey should be a early second round pick, late first round pick at
Yeah.
best. I would not touch him in the top 10. If I was drafting 12th and then first, I would take McCaffrey with one of those picks. But
After that, I'm probably going Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase would be a guy I would suggest picking, Black Rain. If you had he was a league winner for me last year. Jamar Chase, if you can get him at 5, definitely do that. Obviously, if Jahmyr Gibbs were to fall to 5, fucking take him without blinking.
Or Bijan Robinson, or any one of those guys.
Justin Jefferson.
Ashton Genty is a considerable player at 5, man.
I don't. You would consider drafting Genty at 5?
I think he's going to get
I
a
wouldn't.
lot of carries, man.
Yeah,
And I don't see
man.
the talent changing. You know what I mean? He's a talented player, man.
I think I would take CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson over Genty at 5.
I like CeeDee Lamb a lot this year because Pickens is there now, man. To take some attention away from CeeDee Lamb. He's going to have a little more room. I also like Justin Jefferson still. I do.
Yeah.
I like Justin Jefferson.
I would take Malik Neighbors over Genty at 5 too. I would take Malik Neighbors over Genty at 5 as well.
I mean, you just gotta. Yeah, Neighbors is. Neighbors is high risk, high reward for sure, man.
Why is that? One of the best, one of the most
Giants,
targeted receivers in the NFL.
That Giants team could be abysmal.
Yeah, but they'll still have. They were abysmal
apart.
last year, and he was one of the most targeted receivers in the NFL.
They could pull the plug on their veteran quarterbacks, man, and wash it up, and just say we're going to go with Jackson Dart, and he could struggle mightily, and you might be in that situation. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't blink with Malik Neighbors, man. Malik Neighbors is a top 10 pick for sure, but like you're not going to take Malik Neighbors because Jamar Chase is going to be there at 5, or Justin Jefferson is going to be there at 5, or CeeDee Lamb's going to be there at 5. So I mean, like those are going to be. You're probably going to get one of the best receivers in the draft, Black Rain, at 5. I don't think you're going to get one of the top 3 running backs, but if one of those top 3 running backs fall to you at 5, definitely pull the trigger on that, right, Brandon?
Yeah, man.
And you can throw Derrick Henry. You can throw Derrick Henry's name in that circle as well.
Yeah, you're getting a little. I don't know. I'm going to be a little cautious over Henry this year.
No, I get you. I'm just saying you could throw him in there. I don't think I would take him at 5, but you can throw his name in there. And I mean, I wouldn't have taken him where he was being drafted last year, and I was wrong. I was banking on regression for Derrick Henry, and I was wrong. So that happens.
Yeah, the names that listen. Who is that? Black Rain.
Black Rain, yeah.
Names that you're gonna see on that list, man, that I would avoid if you're picking that high is like a Breece Hall. I wouldn't do it. You're gonna probably see Puka Nacua somewhere in the first round. Wouldn't do it. You're gonna see, just a Breece Hall though. Avoid that if he's there.
Puka is too injury prone for me. Puka is way too injury prone for me.
Yeah, if they have Breece Hall there in your pre-draft rankings when you're picking, man, don't.
We're not. I mean, Breece Hall in the 6th round. Breece Hall ain't going in. Where's Breece Hall going? What is his? He's not a 1st round pick.
I would imagine it's high as hell, man. He was picked like 2nd overall last year.
Yeah, but then he really, sold the fact that he should not have been. And I don't think that. I think he might be a value this year, actually, after such a down year. But no
His
way.
ADP is 30th.
Yeah, 2nd, 3rd round. That would make more sense. But yeah, I think Black Rain. I think you're going Justin Jefferson. I go Jamar Chase if he's available over Justin Jefferson. But if Jamar Chase is going at 4 and Justin Jefferson's still there, you go Justin Jefferson. But again, if Jahmyr Gibbs for some reason falls, or Saquon, or Bijan, then yeah, take them. But I doubt that will happen if you're drafting in a good league. So
yeah, by the way, after
get
all
your
the guys
receiver
we
one with right there, and then turn around and get your running back in the second round, third.
after all the
go running
guys
back.
we just named, Dustin,
Yeah.
they have Puka Nacua.
Yep, Puka Nacua is a top 10 player according to a lot of people. I just wouldn't touch him there because he's just too injury prone, man.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's going the bottom of the second.
That makes sense. I think he's a steal there, to be honest. I think you're looking at that's a league winner type player right there as well.
God, Omarion Hampton is way too far down, man. That's crazy. Yeah, and then Ashton Genty's, Malik Neighbors, Amon Ra, Nico Collins. Yeah, you're gonna get one of those guys. Black Rain's good position. You get Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, or Jahmyr Gibbs. So take those 5 names,
Take
write
one
them
of
on a
those
piece of
guys.
paper.
Yeah,
Whichever
take one of
guy
those
is
guys.
left.
That's the guy you take. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd be hoping it was Jamar Chase, honestly, because
I
it
would
makes
be
your
hoping
it makes
God it was Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah,
If he
yeah, for
took
sure.
Jahmyr Gibbs at 5. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
that would be amazing.
Because guess where he is on their rankings?
It should be 1 or 2.
He's
right?
5th.
He's 5th.
No,
Okay.
number 1 is Jamar Chase.
Oh, really? So I mean, it depends, and it also depends on your league, and but if you can get your number 1 receiver, in that middle of the first round, it's a good way to start building your team. I think I always like getting that guy that you're just going to plug in every week at the receiver position, and then you can build around that. I personally like that. But
yeah, Brian Thomas is a 2nd round pick, man. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the value is gone with Brian Thomas. You are spending high for him.
I mean, this is a I think they're doing like a 18 league, so he's going to be pushed further back in a 12-team league. But
Jed says Travis Kelce can't have 2 bad years in a row. Pick him at number 5.
Oh, God, no. Don't do that. Don't do that, Jed. Don't be messing with Black Rain.
Let's wrap this shit up, man. It's late. This has been fun.
That's it. That's all I got.
Jed, you've been great. You've been the star of the chat. You've been the only one in the chat. But so thank you. Black Rain jumping in. Brandon Hallam, threw his hat in the ring. Mike Ross went to bed already, but he was here with us. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being here. Everybody, John S. Yes. Bizzo Joe checked in with us, guys. Everybody have a great night. Hit that like button if you haven't already.
Have a great morning.
Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome Friday. Saturday, the Northside 9 is back with Sean and Kyle. Monday, we'll be back for the Hollis Hall Hangover. Maybe there'll be some fighting there. Jed, tune in. I know you like that.
Maybe it'll be the 4 of us. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. It's been off and on, but it's vacation time, the summertime. So it is what it is. And then Wednesday, they're back for the Barely There. And we're always here on Thursdays for the bare minimum late night to keep y'all company and put you to sleep. So it's been real. Bear down. And we'll see you guys.
Much love, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. 4-Star Chicago Sports.